Part 1. Bastet, Egyptian protector. Bastet's origins trace back to early dynastic Egypt, where she first appeared as a lioness warrior goddess, embodying the raw power of the sun and the ferocity of the hunt. Over time, her image softened. By the Middle Kingdom, she had transitioned into a cat-headed woman, and by the late period, she was almost exclusively portrayed as the domestic cat we recognize today. This transformation mirrors Egypt's own evolving relationship with cats, from apex predators to cherished companions. By embodying both the untamed spirit of wild felines and the gentle grace of house cats, Bastet came to represent a uniquely dual nature, capable of fierce protection and tender care, and thus became one of the most beloved deities in the Egyptian pantheon. Archaeological excavations at the city of Bubastis, Bastet's principal sanctuary in the Nile Delta, have unearthed vast temple precincts filled with chapels, administrative buildings, and most strikingly, cat cemeteries containing millions of mummified felines. Temple records describe specialized priests who oversaw cat breeding programs, veterinary care, and large-scale mummification workshops. Offered by pilgrims as votive gifts, these mummified cats were believed to carry prayers directly to the goddess, underscoring how deeply interwoven Bastet's worship was with daily life. The sheer scale of these cemeteries, some covering several acres, speaks to centuries of devotion and the central role cats played in religious practice. Within Egyptian society, cats associated with Bastet enjoyed unique legal protections. Documentary papyri and legal edicts from as early as the New Kingdom decree that the intentional harming or killing of a cat, regardless of status, was a capital crime, punishable by death. Even accidental injury invoked fines or forced restitution. Families whose pet cats died would shave their eyebrows as a sign of public mourning, cease household routines, and conduct funerary rites mirroring those afforded to human family members. These practices illustrate how religious reverence translated into civic law, elevating cats to a quasi-divine status and embedding respect for them within the social fabric. From a functional standpoint, cats were invaluable in safeguarding Egypt's agricultural wealth by controlling rodent populations within grain stores and household granaries. This practical benefit merged seamlessly with their symbolic role. Egyptians associated the cat's keen vigilance, lightning reflexes, and solitary hunting prowess with Bastet's own protective qualities. Artistic depictions frequently place cats beside doorways or on plinths adjacent to shrines, reinforcing the notion that each cat in a home acted as a miniature guardian spirit. Pet cats were often adorned with jeweled collars and rings, both decorative and believed to act as talismans, channeling Bastet's safeguarding power throughout the household. The annual festival of Bubastis, held during the month of Khoiak, roughly November, lasted for several days and attracted pilgrims from across Egypt. Temples along the Nile hosted flotillas of boats carrying sacrificial offerings, ranging from bread and beer to fragrant oils and floral garlands, toward the main sanctuary. Pilgrims purchased cat-shaped amulets and statuettes from temple markets, streamed live performances of dancers mimicking feline movements, and participated in communal feasts. Inscriptions record that music, lavish processions, and spirited competition among devotees created a powerful sense of unity, reinforcing both civic identity and collective devotion to Bastet's protective grace. Iconographically, Bastet is almost always shown holding a sistrum, a percussion instrument whose rhythmic jingle was thought to please the goddess, and an ankh, symbolizing life. Cats in reliefs often wear broad collars adorned with lotus and papyrus motifs, signifying rebirth and Lower Egypt unity. Scholars argue that these collars served not only to display wealth, but also to function as protective amulets, inscribed or shaped in ways believed to channel the goddess's power. During temple ceremonies, priests would shake sistrums and chant hymns invoking her dual capacity to grant fertility and guard against malevolent forces, underlining her wide-ranging influence over both worldly prosperity and spiritual well-being. Textual sources ranging from pyramid texts to the Book of the Dead contain spells and invocations calling upon Bastet's aid for both the living and the dead. In funerary contexts, she is petitioned to bar the paths of demonic entities and guide the deceased safely through perilous underworld passages. Conversely, household spells inscribed on pottery shards or papyri sought her intervention in dreams, ensuring that sleep remained undisturbed and prophetic visions remained beneficial. Such writings highlight Bastet's role as mediator between worlds, a guardian in life, a protector in death, and a benevolent force in the mysterious realm of dreams. Economic records from Thebes and Memphis document a thriving trade in cat-themed artifacts, bronze statuettes, faience figurines and amulets stamped with Bastet's emblem. Artisans specialized in crafting a range of objects, from mass-produced votive cats to finely wrought statues intended for temple altars. Merchants would travel the Nile with crates of these wares, meeting the demand of pilgrims during festival seasons. The commercialization of Bastet's cult speaks to the intertwining of religious devotion and marketplace activity, demonstrating how faith in the feline goddess underpinned both spiritual life and the ancient Egyptian economy. Modern scientific studies of mummified cats employ advanced techniques such as isotopic dietary analysis, radiocarbon dating, and CT scanning to reveal details of their diets, health, and ages at death. Findings show that sacred cats often received richer diets, including fish and poultry, and were sometimes euthanized for ritual purposes upon reaching maturity. DNA analysis has even identified lineages of cats specific to temple breeding programs. These insights confirm that ancient Egyptians viewed these animals as extensions of Bastet's divine essence, caring for them with a level of attention and ritual comparable to that given high-ranking humans. Collectively, the archaeological, textual, and scientific evidence paints a vivid portrait of Bastet's enduring legacy, a goddess whose power, compassion, and mysterious bond with cats shaped nearly every aspect of Egyptian life. Part 2. Freya's Norse chariot cats. Freya, the Vanir goddess of love, fertility, and battle, is consistently depicted riding through snowy skies in a chariot drawn by two formidable cats. These beasts, described in the earliest Norse lore as Katum, were neither mere farmyard mouser nor diminutive tom. Their strength was such that they dragged a heavy rune-etched wagon across frozen fjords and mist-shrouded forests. Scholars believe these chariot cats may reflect cultural memories of larger northern felines, perhaps lynx or even the now extinct European wildcat, whose power and stealth inspired tales of supernatural draft animals. Their roar, imagined as a low, rolling growl, echoed Freya's own roar in the fray of battle, while their silent, padded steps spoke to her mastery of secret enchantments. Archaeological evidence reinforces these legends on the ornate Oseberg burial wagon, uncovered in a royal Viking ship grave. 9 carved felines arch their backs and stare outward, collars festooned with interlaced knotwork. Though these carvings predate any specific mention of Freya's cats, they attest to a widespread reverence for feline imagery in ritual ceremonies. Bogs across Scandinavia have yielded broken cat-shaped brooches and votive figurines, offerings cast into peat as peace offerings to land spirits. These finds hint at a belief that the presence of cats could mediate between warring clans and secure harmony, much as Freya herself brokered peace among the gods. In skaldic verse, Freya earns kennings such as Cat Lord's Matron and Whiskered Charioteer, emphasizing her intimate bond with these creatures. One obscure stanza describes her calling the cats by name, Myrin and Grafiska, before they spring forward in unison, their paws glowing with an otherworldly frost. Such vivid nomenclature suggests oral traditions weaving together natural observations of cats stalking through snowy underbrush with mythic embellishment. It was believed that in Freya's service, the cats could track souls lost in blizzards and guide them to safe havens, their paw prints glowing faintly under the aurora borealis. Beyond grand divine processions, cats occupied a special place in everyday Norse life, much as in Freya's court. They guarded longhouses against mice that gnawed on precious grain and seed caches, and their sharp reflexes were likened to the swift execution of Norse magic, Seither, over fate itself. Sagas record that Scythe practitioners often kept cats as silent familiars. Their eyes reflecting torchlight were thought to mirror the practitioner's own soul, revealing would-be betrayers. In some tales, an unseen cat's hiss could scare away poltergeists, attributing to felines a protective aura derived directly from Freya's own liminal power between worlds. Descriptions of the chariot cat's appearance vary by region. Some skalds praise them as slate grey with silver-tipped fur, while others speak of tawny coats veined with charcoal stripes. These accounts may draw on local variants. Norwegian forest cats, with their water-repellent double coats, suited to marshland terrain, or the sturdier Scottish wildcat, long since vanished from much of its range. A handful of late medieval Norse chronicles even hint at blue-grey pelts, suggesting that storytelling exaggerations imbued these cats with an almost lunar sheen, aligning them with the shimmering glow of Freya's beloved moon. Rituals held in Freya's honor frequently involved offerings to cats as divine intermediaries. On Midsummer's Eve, farmers would leave bowls of cream and honey outside their stables, not merely to placate rodents, but to honor any wandering feline that might bear Freya's blessing back to her family hall, Sessrumnir. Community dances would circle long tables 3 times, replicating the turning of a chariot wheel, and participants often donned cat masks or headdresses crafted from birch and reindeer fur. These customs affirmed a belief that, just as Freya's chariot brought fertility to fields, her cats brought abundance to hearths. Artisans responded to this fervor by producing small copper and bronze cat figurines, sometimes affixed to horseback harnesses or boat prow figures. Peddlers in the Hanseatic League recorded shipments of feline charms to port towns around the Baltic Sea, indicating a trade network built on feline-themed devotion. Wealthy patrons commissioned larger stone reliefs for longhouse halls, their framed cats carved in relief flanking hearthside benches. Though the precise techniques have been lost, metallurgical analysis reveals traces of silver in the collars, perhaps a nod to the cat's association with the nocturnal and the sacred. Linguistic analysis suggests that the Old Norse term fressa might have once applied to any robust draft beast, implying that the earliest chariot pullers were remembered beasts of burden, later recast in feline form as actual lynx or great cats faded from the accessible wilds. As environments changed and large predators retreated, storytellers anchored Freya's companions in the familiar domestic cat, allowing the myth to persist in a new guise. Modern neo-pagan groups often adopt sturdy local breeds, Maine Coons or Norwegian forest cats, as analogues for Freya's team, perpetuating an ancient bond through living guardians. Today, comparative mythologists trace echoes of Freya's chariot cats. In other Indo-European traditions, the Celtic goddess Brigid's sacred boars, the Greek Artemis's deer, the Indic Vrishni's elephants, each deity's mount reflecting the intersection of the natural world with divine patronage. Freya's unique choice of felines underscores the Norse reverence for an animal, both intimate and mysterious, domestic yet wild at heart. In every lithe stride, and in each silent, watchful pause, her cats remind us that the boundary between mortal and myth remains as thin and shifting as paw prints in freshly fallen snow. Part 3. The Maneki-neko of Japan. The Maneki-neko first emerged during Japan's Edo period in the 17th century as a small, seated bobtail cat with one forepaw raised in a beckoning gesture. Early illustrations and woodblock prints show merchants keeping wooden or ceramic cats near their shop entrances, believing that the motion welcomed customers and prosperity. Over time, the figurine evolved from simple earthenware to finely glazed porcelain, with intricate paintwork and gilded accents. Its enduring appeal lies in the fusion of everyday feline charm with subtle spiritual promise, a motion familiar to anyone who's seen a cat wave its paw, imbued here with the power to draw luck, as surely as it might draw flies. The term Maneki-neko translates literally as beckoning cat, derived from the verb maneko, to invite, and neko, cat. A raised left paw is said to attract customers or visitors, while a raised right paw summons wealth and good fortune. Some statues even raise both paws for double protection of people and finances. The height at which the paw is lifted can vary, with higher positions believed to beckon from farther away. In Japanese culture, the gesture mimics the motion of Japanese beckoning, palm down, fingers waving, making the figurine's stance uniquely local, even as it delights visitors worldwide. One of the best-known origin stories takes place at Gotokuji Temple, on the outskirts of Tokyo. A poor temple priest cared for a stray calico cat named Tama, sharing his meager food despite his own hardship. During a violent storm, a passing feudal lord sought refuge beneath a tree near the temple, only to notice Tama lifting her paw as if bidding him onward. Curious, the lord entered the temple grounds, and moments later the tree was struck by lightning. Grateful, he funded repairs and endowed the temple with rich donations, ensuring its prosperity and cementing Tama's legacy in the first Maneki-neko. A second legend comes from Imado, an area now part of Asakusa, where an elderly woman was forced by poverty to sell her beloved cat. In a dream, the cat appeared to her, instructing her to craft its likeness in clay. She molded a cat figurine exactly as shown and sold it at market. Its popularity saved her from destitution. She went on to mass-produce the statues under the name Imado Maneki-neko. These tales underscore a recurring theme: the cat as divine messenger, forging bonds between human generosity and otherworldly blessing. Color variations carry distinct meanings and are chosen with intention. The traditional calico tricolor, white, black, and orange, is considered the luckiest combination, partly because the calico pattern occurs almost exclusively in female cats, making male calicos exceedingly rare and therefore treasured. White Maneki-neko symbolize general happiness and purity, while red wards off illness and evil spirits. Gold or yellow variants focus on financial fortune, green on academic success and health, and black on protection from malevolence. Pink versions have recently emerged, hailed as talismans for love and romance, demonstrating how even a centuries-old icon can adapt to modern desires. Materials and accessories also carry symbolic weight. Early figures were crafted from simple clay, Later, porcelain and ceramic became preferred for their lustrous finish. Around the cat's neck, a red collar adorned with a small bell and occasionally a bib and decorative sash recall the attire of Edo period pet cats owned by the wealthy. The cat often holds a koban coin inscribed with senman rai, a staggering sum in feudal currency, reinforcing its role as money cat. In moving versions, the electric mechanism now replaces the traditional static paw with a gently oscillating wave, fusing ancient charm with contemporary kitsch. By the Meiji era, Maneki-neko figures had proliferated beyond Kyoto and Tokyo, finding their way into shops, restaurants, pachinko parlors, and even private homes across Japan. When Japanese emigrants traveled abroad, they brought the lucky cat with them, leading to Chinese storefronts adopting and renaming it Zhaokai Mao Zhaozai Fu. Today, banks display towering rows of Maneki-neko in gold and red to summon economic blessing, while websites feature digital versions whose animated waving paws encourage clicks and online patronage. Ceremonial practices continue in locales historically linked to the figurine's lore. At Gotokuji Temple, annual festivals honor Tama with processions of calico cats and offerings of cat-shaped rice cakes. In Imado, sculptors still sell hand-molded clay cats to pilgrims who sprinkle rice wine or sake at their feet before purchase. Some households observe a midwinter custom of cleaning and repainting their Maneki-neko, believing that fresh glaze renews the cat's spiritual potency for the coming year. Despite centuries of commercialization, the Maneki-neko retains a mysterious allure, a simple feline form that bridges the mundane and the miraculous. In the raised forepaw, one senses both a cat's natural curiosity and a hand reaching through the veil to beckon fortune. This enduring symbol reminds us that in every guiding paw, whether of clay or flesh, lies a story of kindness rewarded, barriers crossed, and luck summoned by the smallest of gestures. Part 4. Celtic Cat Familiars. In the wind-swept forests of ancient Gaul and the mist-shrouded highlands of Hibernia, cats held a position of profound mystery and reverence. Far from being mere mousers, these felines were considered living conduits between the human world and the veiled realms of spirit. Druidic Ogham stones occasionally bear petroglyphs of stylized cats, sinuous bodies with arched backs, suggesting that their presence in ritual spaces was deliberate and highly significant. Beyond the hearth, cats were believed to possess an innate ability to perceive hidden forces, their reflective pupils gateways through which druids sought glimpses of the other world during midnight rites. To invite a cat into one's circle was to augment the reach of a spell and to trust in its whispered counsel when navigating the tangled lines of fate. Legends of the cat Sidhe, the spectral fairy cats of Scottish and Irish lore, portray them as sleek, midnight black hunters with a single white star upon their chests. These creatures, said to be the size of a large dog, prowled barrow mounds under moonlight, guarding entrances to the enchanted courts beneath the earth. Folklore recounts that those who encountered a cat Sidhe and offered it milk or cream earned the right to a share of its 7 lives, each life a boon of resilience against curses and illness. Yet this grace was double-edged. To insult or betray a cat Sidhe invited misfortune so profound that families would sometimes leave daily offerings at ancient burial cairns, hoping to appease the creature's capricious nature. Within the frosted domain of the Cailleach, the Celtic hag who governed winter's reign, cats served as stealthy scouts across snowbound landscapes. Bards recorded that the Cailleach's Tom, known as Brockhormer, could slip unseen through shepherds' enclosures, its soft paw prints undetected by even the keenest hound. When livestock vanished or fell ill, villagers interpreted the phantom cat's yowl as a harbinger of the harshest blizzards yet to come. To protect their homesteads, they lit hearth fires on moonless nights, scattering handfuls of rowan berries outside doorways, believing the K-Leech's cat would pause to investigate the bright red fruit rather than enter and bring destruction. On the windswept Breton coast, fishermen revered a feline believed to commune directly with the sea. Described as salt-sprayed and mist-kissed, this harbor cat's green eyes reflected the rhythmic rise and fall of the tide. Dawn catchers sometimes revealed nets woven with strands of seaweed, shells artfully arranged at the prow, signs, the elders said, of the cat's nightly vigilance. Fishermen secured their vessels by leaving bowls of fresh water infused with kelp and driftwood ash on their quaysides, convinced that the cat would lap deeply and in return ensure bountiful catches. This integration of maritime livelihood and feline lore underscores how deeply cat mythology was woven into the daily survival of coastal communities. High atop Welsh hill forts, enigmatic carvings depict cats flanking ancient ruling stones. These images, paired with Ogham inscriptions warning against trespassing on sacred ground, hint at cats' roles as guardians of ancestral gateways. Medieval Welsh poems describe warriors waking to find a cat curled across their weapons, purring with an intensity that quickened the heart and sharpened the mind. Such omens were taken as signs from the Anand, the Celtic underworld, affirming that the veil between life and death had become permeable. To honor this event, warriors painted feline motifs on their helm crests, believing the cat's silent prowess would protect them in battle and guide fallen comrades to hallowed halls. Among the mythic Tuatha De Danann, cats are closely associated with Brigid, the luminous goddess of poetry, healing, and smithcraft. On Imbolc Eve, worshippers carved small cat effigies from yew wood and submerged them in holy wells dedicated to Brigid. Legend holds that Brigid's cat would fan the waters with its tail, imbuing them with renewed vitality. Monastic records from early Christian eras note that nuns who continued this custom credited sudden recoveries of the infirm to the lingering power of feline-infused well waters. This synthesis of pagan and Christian practice speaks to the enduring adaptability of cat-centered devotion across centuries of spiritual transformation. Celtic healers wore charms known as Liath Kate, grey cat, fashioned from pewter or tin, often set with polished quartz for eyes. Hung on sinew cords around the neck, these talismans were believed to focus the healer's life force, known as Anam Cara, and to ward off contagion when treating plague victims. In apothecary manuscripts, recipes instructing the creation of soothing cat ointments reveal that healers ground cat whiskers into salves intended to sharpen the mind and steady the hand. Though such practices raise modern ethical concerns, they illustrate the depth of the perceived bond. The cat's essence was considered integral to the shamanic process of restoring balance in both body and spirit. Remnants of Pictish ritual sites in northern Scotland reveal stone-lined shafts where tracings of cat masks appear on walls. Anthropologists theorize that seers performing trance dances donned these masks to invoke feline attributes, agility, night vision, and detachment, empowering them to journey through layered realities in search of visions. The interplay of carved symbols, spirals denoting cyclical time, cats representing liminal guardians, suggests a sophisticated cosmology in which the cat familiar facilitated transitions between human and divine realms, bringing back prophecies that determine tribal strategy and alliances. Even in contemporary Celtic regions, faint echoes of this ancient cat lore persist. Cornish farmers still speak of the catnac, a phantom cat seen on misty moors, its eyes glowing like embers. To this day, milk is left by old stone markers, not for passing ghosts, but in ritual remembrance of ancestral pacts with feline spirits. These enduring gestures, simple as they are mysterious, remind us that the Celtic cat familiar remains woven into the tapestry of cultural identity, a testament to the enduring partnership between humans and the enigmatic creatures at our side. Part 5. Sumerian Underworld Guardians. Sumerian sources describe a pair of cat-like sentinels called the Inzudug, towering sinewy beings with feline heads, elongated limbs and claws sheathed in obsidian-like sharpness. Unlike the familiar village mouser, these creatures embodied otherworldly ferocity, their forms caught in bas-relief at ancient sites like Ur and Eridu. Sculptors paid meticulous attention to their gaze, deep hollowed eyes that seem to track passers-by, and muzzles that hold a silent, inscrutable tension. Temple walls and gateway lintels bear their likeness, creating a spectral presence that lingers in the imagination, blurring the line between worshipped animal and guardian of the nether realms. Priestly manuals recovered in cuneiform tablets outline elaborate offerings meant to placate the Inzudug and secure safe passage for morning processions. At twilight, priests would set out bowls of foaming barley beer, infused with myrrh and resin, lighting cedarwood braziers whose tendrils of smoke curled like protective serpents around the statues. Sumerians believed that these rituals wove a negotiated peace. Aromatic smoke soothed the guardian's fierceness, while the sweet bitterness of the brew symbolized humanity's gratitude. Failure to perform these rites correctly risked eliciting low, terrifying roars from the statues, an omen that the souls of the dead would be barred, and the living might hear whispered threats echoing in their dreams. The epic saga of Inanna's descent into the underworld offers vivid glimpses of gatekeepers whose attributes mirror feline stealth and power. Though not named explicitly as cats, each of the 7 guardians stationed at the successive gates moves with uncanny agility, leaping, crouching, and observing with predatory precision, testing the resolve of any who dare approach. Their feline-like reflexes underscore a central Sumerian belief: only those who relinquished pride and shed worldly trinkets could survive the journey. These guardians reflect the cat's liminal nature, equally at home in shadow and light, enforcing thresholds both physical and spiritual. Cylinder seals from the subsequent Akkadian period illustrate hybrid guardians, winged cat lions with leonine manes, feline hindquarters, and human forebodies, early prototypes of the later Lamassu. Families placed small clay versions of these sculptures at doorways of homes and tombs, trusting that their imposing form would deter malevolent shades. The human face symbolized intellect, the lion's body strength, and the wings a capacity to traverse realms. This triune form synthesized human wisdom, animal vitality, and celestial freedom, embodying the protective essence first seen in the more purely feline Inzudug. Funerary inscriptions, often etched alongside symbolic paw prints, list the true names of the guardians, Inzudug, and his counterpart, Galator, believed essential to hold dominion over the nether spirits. Families recited these names in unison as part of the entombment rite, its sibilant cadence forming a barrier against any force trying to claim the departed soul. The inclusion of cat paw marks in the clay, sometimes interspersed with miniature bronze claws, cemented a physical and spiritual connection. This practice reflects a worldview where cats not only negotiated boundaries, but embodied the very threshold between life and death. Excavations of burial shafts in royal cemeteries have yielded cat-shaped amulets fashioned from lapis lazuli and carnelian, stones chosen for their mystic associations with night and lifeblood. Adorned with engravings of guardian insignias, these charmers were worn at the neck of the deceased or buried alongside them. The cool blue hues of lapis signified the watchful moonlit eye, while the red glow of carnelian represented the guardian's fierce protective energy. Such amulets illustrate how Sumerians captured the duality of feline guardianship, gentle vigilance and explosive defense. Textual fragments from Nippur reveal dialogues between supplicants and these guardians framed as barter, offerings in exchange for safe conduct. One poignant lament reads, "We bring milk and honey, dark of spirit, open your stone jaws and guide our sister through your silent halls." These pleas, addressed directly to the Inzudug by name, emphasize how personal grief and communal solidarity intertwined with ritual. They reveal the emotional stakes. The guardians were not distant deities, but active participants in the most intimate of human transitions. Comparative studies trace a clear lineage from the feline Inzudug to the colossal Lamassu of Assyria and Babylonia, stone colossi whose horned helmets, human faces, and leonine bodies guarded palace gateways. Yet while later Lamassu towered in their weighty grace, the original Sumerian guardians retained a sinuous feline lithe quality, suggesting an early Mesopotamian fascination with cats' capacity to navigate shadowed realms. This motif endured for millennia, adapting to shifting empires while preserving the essential idea of cats as threshold guardians. Modern scientific research has illuminated hidden aspects of these ancient cults. Infrared and ultraviolet imaging of temple reliefs reveal traces of pigments, deep indigos and crimsons, that once adorned the Inzudug's manes, lending them a more vivid, almost supernatural presence. Residue analysis of incense burners has confirmed ancient recipes, cedar, frankincense, and remarkably crushed catnip, a botanical detail that resonates eerily with cats' contemporary allure. These multidisciplinary insights deepen our understanding of how Sumerians envisioned feline guardians not simply as earthly beasts, but as cosmic sentinels charged with maintaining the sacred boundary between the living and the dead. Part 6. Hindu goddess Hyosti's companions. Hyosti, the auspicious sixth form of the Great Mother, is uniquely associated with a feline mount, a sleek, bronze-eyed cat whose silent paws tread the boundary between life and death. Early terracotta images from the Gupta period portray her astride this cat, one hand cradling an infant, the other bestowing blessings. The choice of cat as her Vaha underscores a deeper symbolism, just as a mother cat ferries her newborns gently by the scruff. Hyosti's cat is believed to carry departed souls safely through the unseen realms, guiding them back to earthly reincarnation or onward to higher planes. Its nocturnal habits mirror the goddess's role as a protector in darkness, watching over vulnerable mothers and infants through the long watches of the night. In Bengal and Bihar, Hyosti is worshipped every month on the 6th lunar day, with red-hued earthen pitchers, placed beneath banyan trees. Alongside rice, jaggery and betel leaves, householders offer bowls of milk and turmeric to the cat companion, invoking its gentle intercession. Folk belief holds that if the milk is lapped clean by dawn, the cat has accepted the offering, and Hyosti's protection will enfold the family for the coming month. A lingering trace of milk on the lip of the bowl is taken as a sign of special favor, an assurance that the goddess's feline sentinel has taken personal notice of each child's welfare. Terracotta statuettes of Yosti's cat often bear faded traces of red and gold pigment, indicating that they were once richly painted. Archaeologists have found such figurines buried at the foot of village shrines, their tiny collars fashioned from copper wire and beads. Some statuettes show the cat holding a tiny conch or a string of rudraksha beads, objects traditionally associated with life cycle rites, suggesting that its role extended beyond mere transport of souls to encompass blessings of fertility, safe childbirth, and swift recovery from postpartum ailments. The enduring presence of these figurines in rural household shrines highlights the cat's tangible link to Yosti's maternal grace. Two popular folk tales illustrate the cat's intimate bond with the goddess. In one, a new mother's negligence insults the cat, which retaliates by spirit stealing her 6 infants, each found safe at dawn in Kosti's celestial abode. Only after the mother's tearful repentance and vow to observe the Kosti Virata are her children restored. In another variant, the cat is wrongfully beaten by in-laws, prompting it to lure the family's offspring into the banyan grove. Both stories convey a dual lesson. The cat is a fierce guardian whose favor must be respected, and Kosti's mercy is boundless when proper devotion is shown. Scholars link Kosti's feline companion to broader South Asian beliefs in animal psychopomps, members of the animal world entrusted with soul guidance. In Sanskrit texts such as the Brahma-Vaivarta Purana, the cat is described as swift, silent, and discerning, able to detect spirits that linger too long among mortals. Ethnozoologists note that temple-trained cats in Odisha were once believed to patrol cremation grounds, their unblinking gaze warding off restless ghosts. This enduring motif of cats as liminal beings, straddling the worlds of the living and the dead, finds its most potent personification in Kosti's own mount. Cat-keeping traditions around Kosti's festivals illustrate a remarkable syncretism of domestic practice and spiritual ritual. In many villages, women tie saffron-dyed threads around neighborhood cats' necks during the 6-day Kosti Vrata, blessing them as emblems of the goddess. These blessed cats, venturing from home to home, are fed sweet rice and spiced coconut, their passage believed to carry Kosti's benedictions to every doorstep. Even today, some families leave doors ajar on ritual evenings, welcoming wandering cats in hopes that they bear the goddess's silent watchfulness and protective power. Iconographic research suggests that early images of Kosti sometimes showed her with a cat's head, later refined into a human visage astride her feline companion. This evolution parallels the transition of folk goddess forms into more orthodox Puranic shapes. Yet in rural Bihar and Bengal, clay images occasionally resurrect the archaic motif, a cat-faced Kosti nursing infants, reminding worshippers of her primal bond with feline guardianship. Such folk survivals preserve the raw edge of myth, where goddess and cat converge in a single potent figure of maternal protection. Linguistic studies of Bengali Mangal Kavya poetry reveal frequent references to Kosti's cat as Brata Bhumi, earthly brother, emphasizing its close kinship with human families. Poets describe the cat's departure at dawn, its silhouette lingering like a promise against the rising sun. In one canto, the cat's purr is said to tune the heartbeat of newborns, a poetic echo of the cat's real-world calming effect on infants. These literary motifs underscore how Kosti's cat transcends mere mount, becoming an intimate member of the household divine. Modern devotees continue to innovate new rituals around Kosti's feline companion. In urban temples, miniature bronze cat bells are worn as amulets by pregnant women, their chime a constant reminder of Caste's ever-vigilant gaze. Neon signs in contemporary puja shops feature stylized cat silhouettes, flanking images of the goddess, blending ancient protective symbolism with modern aesthetics. Even in bustling cities, the silent, crouching cat remains an icon of the goddess, who promises both fierce defense and gentle nurture to every mother and child under her watch. Part 7. Chinese Lunar Cat Legends. Long before the lunar calendar cast its silvery beam across mainland and island coasts, whispers of feline spectatorship accompanied every full moonrise. In Chinese cosmology, the moon embodies Yin's cool, receptive force, its luminous face a mirror to Yang's fiery sun. Cats, creatures of twilight, whose eyes shimmer like miniature moons, were naturally entwined with this lunar essence. Ancient poets likened a cat's nocturnal prowl to the moon's slow passage across the sky, each padded step a living echo of moonbeams slipping through bamboo groves. This elemental kinship laid the groundwork for legends that would span dynasties. One of the most enduring tales centers on a bitter rivalry between the celestial cat and the jade rabbit, companions to the moon goddess Chang'e. Folkloric fragments preserved in local gazetteers describe how both animals were summoned to Chang'e's palace to prepare the elixir of immortality. The rabbit, swift of paw and pure of heart, earned the goddess's favor, while the cat, proud of its glossy coat and hunting prowess, chafed under the palace's delicate porcelain halls. When Chang'e briefly left her companions alone, the cat pounced on the rabbit's mortar, shattering its precious contents. In a moment of divine retribution, Chang'e banished the feline from palace service, condemning it to dance in the moon's dark lagoons, visible only in fleeting lunar shadows. In the bordering regions of southern China and Vietnam, the cat's lunar fate takes on a different hue in zodiac lore. There the cat and the rat were close friends who agreed to race across a river to present themselves to the Jade Emperor. The cunning rat pushed the cat from its boat, while the anxious cat hesitated midstream, watching the rat float safely ashore with the third zodiac position. Furious and humiliated, the cat cursed the heavenly light and vowed to haunt the moon's dark side, emerging only in brief silences between waning and waxing. To this day, farmers in Guangxi leave saucers of milk under the full moon, an offering to placate the lunar cat and ensure peaceful nights. Imperial porcelain from the Ming and Qing eras sometimes features a rare mooncat motif, a delicate feline crouched beneath a stylized moon, its tail curled into the shape of a waning crescent. Scholars believe these motifs reflect esoteric Taoist circles that revered the cat as an intermediary between human and celestial realms. Practitioners of internal alchemy invoked the breath of the moon cat in guided meditations, envisioning its silent prowl through inner chambers to gather yin energy. Inscriptions on a few surviving scrolls instruct adept practitioners to allow their consciousness to slip into the cat's form at midnight, tracing lunar cycles within the microcosm of the body. Beyond elite circles, rural communities developed their own lunar cat rites. In Fujian's tea terraces, pickers claimed that on harvest eve under a new moon, a phantom cat would weave among the plants in search of insects drawn by fresh dew. They believed that capturing its soft purr in a hollow bamboo tube and replaying it beneath a full moon would bless the next season's crop with resilience against blight. Although the practice has largely faded, local storytellers still recount how ancestral tea masters once risked midnight vigils among the leaves to commune with the moon cat's hidden wisdom. A curious cross-cultural echo appears in early 20th century missionary records from Guangxi and Yunnan, Villagers spoke of moon cat spirits emerging only during lunar eclipses. They described stone talismans carved with a cat's profile, placed at the corners of courtyards to ward off restless shadow beasts, said to roam the pale sky when the moon turned blood red. These moon cat guardians functioned much like more familiar village door gods, their triangular ears and slit eyes, a silent assurance that no malignant spirit could traverse the eclipse unhindered. Literary references to lunar cats. Pepper, classical plays and poems. In one anonymous Ming Dynasty verse, a courtesan laments, "Even the moon cat hides its gaze when lovers part, using the cat's secretive nature to mirror forbidden affairs beneath moonlight." Another Song-era poet writes of waking to the soft thump of unseen feline steps just before dawn, interpreting them as the cat's final inspection of household fortunes before the sun reclaimed dominance. Such metaphorical uses cement the cat's place not only in myth, but in the subtle language of human emotion. Modern folklorists find traces of these legends in digital age rituals. During Mid-Autumn Festival live streams, online influencers invoke the lunar cat's blessing, encouraging viewers to post animated cat stickers over full moon backgrounds for a chance at virtual red packet giveaways. Though the practice mixes ancient symbolism with contemporary commerce, it speaks to the enduring power of the moon cat archetype, an emblem of mystery, liminality, and quiet guardianship that transcends epochs. Through centuries and across regions, the Chinese lunar cat endures as a complex figure, sometimes trickster, sometimes saint, always a creature of moonlight. Its silent prowl across the night sky offers a reminder that the moon's beauty conceals infinite depth, and that in every shadow beneath its glow, a watchful feline spirit may be waiting. Part 8. Aztec Jaguar Warriors. Long before dawn's first light crept over the temples of Tenochtitlan, the Jaguar warriors, known in Nahuatl as the Ocelome, gathered at the city's edge, their armor gleaming with obsidian mirrors and jaguar pelts dyed the deep russet of dawn. Chosen from the bravest of young men who had captured enemies in battle, they earned their title not by birthright, but by deeds of valor. Each warrior donned a fearsome helmet carved to resemble a snarling jaguar's head, complete with painted whiskers and teeth fashioned from polished bone. Their presence on the field was both martial and ritual. They enacted the living spirit of the jaguar, an animal revered for its strength, stealth, and dominion over night. Jaguar warriors formed one of the two highest military orders in Aztec society, alongside the Eagle Knights. While eagles symbolized the sun and sky, jaguars embodied the fertile darkness of the earth and the underworld. In ceremonies, jaguar warriors performed dances around coals beneath the flickering torchlight, their roars echoed by drums made from stretched deer hide. These dances served to commune with Tezcatlipoca, the smoking mirror deity of fate and transformation, who adopted the jaguar as his earthly avatar. To wear the jaguar skin was to carry a piece of the god's power, an animal so feared that its very footprints could be mistaken for cracks in reality. Battle was both test and rite of passage. Before marching out, Oceloma warriors bathed in herbal infusions believed to sharpen the senses. Jaguar's claw powder mixed with copal resin, then smeared their bodies with stripes of black and yellow pigment to mimic the feline's coat. Armed with the maquahuitl, a wooden sword studded with obsidian blades, they moved with silent precision through forests and across lakes, striking like a cat falling upon its prey. Prisoners taken by jaguar warriors were often chosen for sacrificial rites atop Temple Maya's twin peaks. Their offerings were meant to renew the world through the warriors' fierce devotion. Training for the jaguar order began in youth. At Kalmati schools, boys learned not only martial techniques, but also the lore of the jungle and the underworld. They studied the jaguar's nocturnal hunting patterns, mastering stillness and patience. Legends tell of cadets who meditated for nights at a time in hidden cenotes, emerging with eyes said to gleam in the dark, mirroring their tutelary beast. This spiritual discipline taught them that to become jaguar was to blur the boundary between predator and prey, to embody both the hunter's focus and the hunted's awareness. Beyond the battlefield, jaguar imagery pervaded Aztec life. Nobles commissioned elaborate cloaks woven with ocelot spots, while goldsmiths crafted jaguar-headed rings with emerald eyes. The jaguar's roar was sculpted in temple reliefs, its paws set in carved stone at palace entrances to ward off malevolent spirits. Merchants carried small figurines of the beast tied to their belts, believing that the jaguar's silent footfalls would shield their caravans from ambush and misfortune on long trade routes. In myth, the jaguar's night stalks even the divine. One tale recounts how the moon goddess Koyolxauhqui was torn apart and cast from the heavens, only to be pursued by a jaguar spirit seeking to reclaim her pieces. This cat-like spectre was ultimately defeated by Huitzilopochtli's arrows, yet its shadow lingered at the edge of the sky, reminding mortals of the delicate balance between creation and chaos. The jaguar warrior, embodying this duality, was both protector and potential harbinger of destruction. The fallen warrior achieved a revered afterlife. Those who died in battle or sacrifice joined the sun on its nightly journey through the underworld as jaguar knights of Mictlan. It was said these souls, reborn as celestial felines, escorted the sun through realms of darkness, ensuring dawn's triumphant return. Funerary urns shaped like jaguar heads, discovered in burial caves, suggest that families honored battle-dead kin by invoking this transformation, believing their spirits would continue the fierce vigil beyond life's end. Even after the Spanish conquest curtailed the Aztec Empire, the memory of jaguar warriors endured in local lore. Highland communities recounted tales of ghostly cats prowling ancient ruins at night, their eyes aflame like coals and their growls echoing across empty plazas. Shamans claimed these apparitions were the lingering spirits of Osalome, keeping watch over their lost city and awaiting a time when their strength would once again safeguard the living. Today, the jaguar warrior resonates as a symbol of courage and mystery. Modern Mexica groups reenact jaguar dances during cultural festivals, their costumes painstakingly hand-stitched to honor ancestral craftsmanship. In museums, replica Macuahuitl blades and jaguar helmets remind visitors of a people who look to the forest's shadows for strength. In every pelt pattern and every whispered legend of midnight patrols, the legacy of the Aztec jaguar warriors prowls on, an enduring testament to humanity's fascination with the world's greatest feline hunters. Part 9. Russian Domovoy's Cat Shape. In the dim glow of the Izba's hearth, where shadows dance upon rough-hewn beams, the domovoy often takes a feline guise. Known as the household spirit of Slavic lore, the domovoy is said to wander between worlds, its true form hidden from mortal eyes. Yet on moonlit nights, families have swore they glimpsed a cat, its fur a patchwork of soot and ash, eyes gleaming with uncanny intelligence, slipping silently across floorboards. In this guise, the domovoy can slip unseen through cracks and keyholes, listening for threats to the home while its gentle purr wards off malevolent intruders. Unlike ordinary cats, its presence is marked by a sudden warmth in the room or the faint scent of burning straw, reminders that the spirit watches and protects. Folklorists note that when a family keeps a real cat in the house, it is often believed to be an avatar of the domovoi, or at least its familiar. Hearth cats pampered with saucers of milk and bowls of kasha become more than pets. They are partners in maintaining household harmony. If the cat curls up on the hearth at dusk, farmers take it as an omen of bountiful harvests, for the domovoi cat ensures grain stores remain safe from vermin and rot. Conversely, a stray or sickly cat is thought to signal the spirit's displeasure, perhaps a failure to keep the home in proper order, or an unspoken grudge born of forgotten chores. To mend relations, households lay out fresh bread and salt, offerings that real and spirit feline alike are said to accept with a gentle nod. Tales from northern Russia describe the domovoi cat appearing at threshing barns, where it patrols granaries by night. Workers whisper that if they listen closely, they can hear its padded steps mingling with the rustle of grain, a spectral janitor ensuring no mouse dares nibble. On frost-bitten mornings, footprints no larger than a kitten's pad lead away from tightly sealed doors, proof of the spirit's unseen vigilance. Should any threshing thong or scythe go missing, it is quickly found in a corner of the barn, placed there by the domovoi cat as a reminder that no tool is ever truly lost beneath its watchful gaze. During harsh winters, when household fires flickered low and spirits grew restless, the domovoi cat was said to bring warmth from the spirit realm. Legends tell of families awakening to find their hearth blazing anew, logs stacked neatly beside it as though laid by gentle paws. In return, villagers would leave tufts of wool and scraps of fabric on the windowsill, believing the cat would weave them into unseen blankets for the orphaned or infirm. Should these tokens be spoiled or forgotten, the domovoi cat might retaliate by tangling sheep in their stalls or turning milk sour, mischief meant to prompt remembrance of its benevolent care. In some regions, the domovoi's feline aspect extended into prophetic dreams. A cat slipping across a tapestry at midnight could foretell an impending guest or a long-lost relative's return. Mothers, anxious over the safety of children, would consult such dreams. A cat curled around a cradle signified protection, while one with bristled fur warned of approaching danger. To enhance these visions, dreamers sometimes placed a silver coin under their pillow or whispered the domovoi's secret name, a syllable passed down only in hushed family lore, hoping the spirit cat would grant a clearer glimpse of what lay ahead. With the spread of Christianity, the domovoi cat became an ambiguous figure, part revered, part suspect. In some churches, cats were tolerated as guardians against vermin. In others, feared as possible vessels of pagan spirits. Monastic rules sometimes forbade cats from cloistered areas, yet abbots discreetly allowed them near kitchens to protect stores of grain and fish. This uneasy acceptance speaks to the domovoi's enduring influence. Even as official doctrine condemned household spirits, generations of peasants continued to honor them in feline form, blending old rites with new faith. Artisans in the 19th century began crafting wooden cat effigies, placing them above doorways to symbolize the domovoi's presence. These carved cats, often painted in earthy reds and browns, wore collars of braided straw and jingling bells, a nod to the spirit's dual role as guardian and trickster. Small clay models buried beneath the threshold served a similar purpose, their hollow bell-like bodies meant to catch the first tap of a wandering spirit's paw. Though the practice faded with modernization, some rural families still hang simple wooden cats above their front doors, silent sentinels echoing centuries of belief. Beyond the home, the domovoi cat shaped communal rituals. At the close of harvest, neighbors would convene to share pierogi and kvass before collectively calling upon the domovoi to bless the coming winter. A communal cat, often the largest of a dozen barn cats, was fed first, its contented mew believed to seal the group's goodwill. Should that cat vanish or turn skittish, villagers took it as a sign to redouble their communal observances, lest prosperity slip away like snow down a roof. These gatherings fostered social bonds and reinforced a shared belief in unseen protectors. Even today, modern Russians speak of cats that seem to watch over empty nests and silent corridors, sensing presences beyond mortal ken. Urban apartment dwellers recount tales of a stray cat appearing each New Year's Eve, weaving among doorways and then disappearing before dawn, its visit interpreted as the domovoi's monthly inspection of new homes. In every purr and every sidelong glance, the ancient spirit lives on, reminding families that the realms of seen and unseen remain entwined, and that sometimes the humblest of creatures carries the deepest magic. Part 10. Medieval Witches' Black Cat. In the shadowed corners of medieval Europe, where superstition reigned alongside plague and prayer, the black cat emerged as both feared companion and magical omen. These inky-furred felines were not just household animals, but were believed to be the familiars of witches, spirits or demons in disguise, gifted by the devil himself. Their appearance in the dead of night, especially near the home of someone accused of witchcraft, was taken as damning evidence. Their glistening eyes, glowing like embers in the dark, were said to hold unspoken pacts, secrets exchanged in whispers between mortal and spirit. The Church, seeking to suppress remnants of paganism, fueled tales that claimed a witch could transform into a black cat to escape detection, returning to human form with the dawn. This sinister association with transformation wasn't plucked from nowhere. In early European folklore, especially in the British Isles and Germanic regions, shape-shifting was a common motif. Witches weren't only thought to change themselves into animals, but often preferred the sleek and stealthy form of a black cat. Stories told of villagers spotting the same midnight cat lurking around barns and thresholds before crops failed or livestock sickened. When struck, some cats would cry out in voices uncannily human, only for the next morning to reveal a bruised or wounded old woman in the village, sealing the belief that the two were one and the same. These legends blurred the line between woman and beast, making every black cat a potential extension of a hidden witch. Even so, not all associations were purely of fear. In certain pockets of Europe, particularly in Scottish and Irish lore, black cats were also seen as omens of prosperity, if treated with the proper reverence. The cat Sith, a large spectral feline said to haunt the Highlands, was black with a white spot on its chest, and was believed to have supernatural powers, including the ability to steal a person's soul before burial. Vigil keepers would stand guard over corpses, watching for this feline spirit. Yet, paradoxically, those who left milk by their hearth for the cat Sith might be blessed with good fortune. The duality of the black cat, harbinger of death, yet bearer of blessings, revealed the complexity of beliefs that preceded the harsh dogmas of the Inquisition. The concept of familiars reached its terrifying apex during the witch hunts of the 15th to 17th centuries, particularly in England and Scotland. Trial records describe women confessing, often under torture, that a small black cat had visited them at night, spoken in unknown tongues, or suckled at hidden marks on their bodies. These cats were believed to be intermediaries for demonic forces, helping their masters or mistresses cast spells, spread illness or manipulate the weather. Familiars, unlike mere pets, were thought to possess autonomy, agents of the dark, cunning and loyal, only to the witch and their infernal patron. Some confessions even claim these cats were gifted by a horned man during secret sabbats in the woods. Despite the grim legends, black cats continued to find homes in medieval households, particularly among the poor. Cats were valued for their role in keeping granaries and pantries free of rodents, a crucial service during times of famine or plague. Yet even this helpful role became suspect. If a woman with a black cat lost none of her grain while her neighbors suffered, it was assumed the cat had bewitched the vermin into leaving her stores untouched. In an age when unexplained success could breed suspicion faster than failure, the presence of a clever, healthy cat could be a dangerous blessing. Villagers walked a thin line between needing cats and fearing their mystique. Church authorities often clamped down on this duality. Pope Gregory IX issued a decree in the 13th century that linked black cats with heresy, catalyzing a continent-wide slaughter of felines. Ironically, the mass killing of cats may have contributed to the spread of the Black Death, as rat populations surged unchecked. Yet in this devastation, the mythos of the black cat only deepened. It became a creature not only of shadow and spellwork, but one whose mysterious power could influence the very tides of life and death. Cats that survived were said to be more elusive, more cunning, as if absorbing the fears projected onto them over centuries. Some whispered that witches selected black cats because of their ability to see into the other world. Their eyes, which reflect light so eerily, were believed to peer beyond the veil into realms hidden from human sight. It was said that when a black cat stared at a wall or an empty chair, it was watching spirits move through the world. This quiet vigilance added to the aura of the black cat as a liminal being, one foot in our world, one paw in another. For witches practicing rites by candlelight, such a creature was more than a familiar. It was an extension of their soul, able to sense danger, intention, and unseen currents of power. Black cats were also woven into the superstitions of crossroads, burial grounds, and full moons. Burying a black cat under the threshold was believed to protect the home from evil spirits. Sailors, especially in British seafaring traditions, often kept black cats aboard for good luck, though paradoxically feared them if they crossed paths on land. In some regions, the direction from which a black cat approached dictated its meaning. From the left, it was bad luck. From the right, a blessing. These shifting interpretations allowed the legend to endure and evolve, its core mystery preserved across generations and landscapes. To this day, the image of the black cat beside a bubbling cauldron endures as one of the most potent and enduring symbols of witchcraft. Though modern associations have softened, with many seeing black cats as bringers of luck or simply misunderstood creatures, the old stories still echo. In the way a black cat watches from a windowsill, tail flicking like a clock hand measuring something ancient, there lingers the faint aura of those medieval nights. When the wind stirs and the hearth burns low, the witch's cat still prowls, silent, clever, and cloaked in the centuries of mystery it never quite shed. Part 11. Mayan Jaguar Deities. In the dense jungles of Mesoamerica, where towering ceiba trees reach toward the heavens and the shadows between stones seem alive with memory, the jaguar reigned supreme as both predator and god. Among the Maya, this enigmatic creature was far more than an apex hunter. It was a divine being, a symbol of strength, mystery, and transformation. The jaguar embodied the dualities of existence, day and night, life and death, earth and underworld. In ancient carvings and codices, it appears again and again, cloaked in spotted majesty, stalking the boundary between the natural and the supernatural. It was believed to pass freely between worlds, disappearing into the jungle, only to reappear in the darkest caves or star-speckled heavens, always watching. Central to this reverence was the figure of the jaguar god of the underworld, known to scholars as the night sun. This deity represented the sun as it journeyed through a sebulba, the Maya underworld, during the hours of darkness. Unlike the radiant, life-giving sun of the daytime sky, this jaguar was a creature of hidden strength and sacred danger. He bore jaguar spots and fierce fangs, often depicted with a snarling expression and a headdress of night. Each evening, the sun died, and in jaguar form, descended into the underworld where it battled the forces of death and chaos. Only if victorious could it rise again. This mythic nightly struggle was not just symbolic. It shaped how the Maya understood mortality, time, and the eternal cycle of rebirth. The jaguar was also intimately tied to the kings and shamans of the Maya. Rulers often portrayed themselves adorned in jaguar pelts or transformed into jaguar hybrids in carvings and murals. To wear the jaguar skin was not merely to don a regal garment. It was to assume the mantle of divine power. These rulers claimed descent from powerful deities, their authority legitimized through association with the jaguar's fierce spiritual energy. Likewise, shamans would undergo rituals of transformation, spiritually entering the body of the jaguar to cross into other realms. These trance states, induced by ceremony and sacred herbs, were believed to grant them knowledge from ancestors and gods hidden from ordinary eyes. In Maya cosmology, caves were sacred entrances to the underworld, and jaguars were often considered their guardians. Some cave complexes were painted with jaguar imagery, and bones of jaguars have been found at ritual sites deep within these subterranean spaces. The act of entering a cave was akin to a symbolic death, a journey into sebulba, and the jaguar served as both sentinel and guide. Sacrifices made in these spaces, sometimes of humans, sometimes of animals, were meant to appease the underworld spirits and ensure cosmic balance. The spotted pelt of the jaguar, thought to resemble the starry night sky, linked it to celestial realms as well, reinforcing its role as a bridge between vastly different worlds. The Baalam, 4 jaguar deities known as the Bakubs, were believed to hold up the corners of the sky. Each Baalam protected a cardinal direction and its corresponding elements, ensuring harmony between Earth and cosmos. These spiritual beings were guardians of agriculture, rain, and the seasons, vital to a society whose survival depended on precise calendars and fertile land. Farmers would leave offerings to the Baalams during planting and harvest, and stories told of them walking the earth in feline form to patrol the borders between order and chaos. To the Maya, the very foundation of the world was kept stable by jaguar spirits, powerful, unseen, and never to be angered. Jaguar motifs also appeared in Maya warfare. Elites who captured enemies for sacrifice were honored with jaguar imagery, linking martial success to divine favor. Some warrior societies took the jaguar as their totem, adorning themselves with claws, teeth, and patterned garments. These were not just aesthetic choices, they were acts of spiritual invocation. To take on the image of the jaguar was to channel its hunting prowess, to fight not merely as a man, but as a creature touched by gods. In battle and ritual alike, the jaguar's presence added gravity and mythic weight, marking such moments as echoes of greater cosmic struggles. Even in the starry firmament, the jaguar was found. The Maya saw constellations not as passive arrangements of light, but as dynamic stories frozen in time. Some star patterns represented the jaguar in motion, prowling across the heavens. Eclipse events, especially lunar eclipses, were interpreted as celestial jaguars attacking the moon. Rituals would be performed to defend the lunar body from these assaults, using chants, fire and drumming to frighten away the supernatural predator. These beliefs infused the night sky with urgency and purpose. Every movement of the heavens was a continuation of ancient battles in which the jaguar played a starring role. Among commoners as well, the jaguar occupied a place of awe. Household shrines often bore small figurines of jaguars or contained bones and teeth, believed to ward off evil. Children were named after jaguars to instill strength and bravery. In the marketplace, traders might offer spotted cloth or jade carvings invoking jaguar spirits for protection during travel. The jaguar was not a distant god locked in the temples of the elite, but a presence felt in every corner of Maya life, from cradle to grave, from the tilled field to the darkest cave. Though centuries have passed, and the great Maya cities have returned to the forest, the spirit of the jaguar still prowls. Among modern Maya communities, jaguar stories remain a thread of cultural memory, passed through oral tradition and ceremony. The jungle remains its domain, and its cry, low, guttural, and reverberating through the night, carries the echoes of old gods and forgotten kings. In myth, the jaguar never dies. It slips through stone walls beneath tree roots into dreams and moonlight. A god of claw and shadow, its legacy is immortal, not just in stone carvings, but in the way the jungle holds its breath when the spotted phantom moves. Part 12. Yoruba Leopard Kings. In the lush, humid regions of what is now southwestern Nigeria, the leopard was more than just a predator of the forest. It was the living embodiment of royal authority, a creature so revered that its very image was inseparable from the divine right to rule. Among the Yoruba people, the leopard was associated with kingship, mystery, and ancestral power, acting as both a spiritual totem and a physical symbol of the king's dominion. Known as Ekun in the Yoruba language, the leopard carried connotations of majesty, secrecy, and ferocity, traits idealized in the image of the Oba, or king. The leopard was seen not simply as a beast, but as a divine mediator between realms, just as the king was a mediator between the people and the gods. Leopard skins were reserved exclusively for rulers and high priests, considered sacred materials that could elevate the wearer into a spiritually protected state. To wear such a pelt was to wrap oneself in ancestral power. Warriors who displayed exceptional prowess in battle were sometimes honored with leopard iconography, but only under the king's blessing. In ceremonies, the Oba might be seen seated upon a throne, adorned with leopard imagery, flanked by statues or reliefs, depicting leopards in a state of controlled menace, reminding all who entered the palace of the supernatural force behind his rule. These visual metaphors went deeper than art. They were declarations of the king's status as a ruler with the authority of the jungle itself. In some Yoruba legends, kings were said to physically transform into leopards, especially in moments of danger or divine testing. These shape-shifting tales blurred the line between man and animal, reinforcing the idea that the monarch was not entirely mortal. The transformation was never viewed as a curse, but as a holy gift, proof that the Oba was chosen by the Orisha, the powerful deities of Yoruba cosmology. Oral histories tell of kings who vanished into the forest after their deaths, their bodies never found, their spirits said to roam as leopards under moonlight. To this day, some believe that leopards seen near royal burial grounds are not ordinary animals, but the eternal souls of rulers returned to guard sacred sites. The association between leopards and divine justice was also a central aspect of Yoruba belief. In many folktales, the leopard serves as an agent of retribution, calm and calculating, punishing the unjust while sparing the innocent. This mirrored the role of the Oba as the ultimate judge and arbitrator. Leopard statues often stood at palace gates or judicial courts, carved with intricate precision, their eyes wide and unblinking, reminding all who passed through that the eyes of justice were always open. These guardian figures were more than ornamental. They were ritually consecrated, believed to house spirits that could intervene in human affairs when called upon through incantation or sacrifice. Interestingly, the spiritual power of leopards was not confined to kings alone. Certain Yoruba secret societies, such as the Ogboni or Oro, held leopards in similarly high regard, using them as emblems of sacred lore and esoteric knowledge. These societies acted as enforcers of moral order, keepers of tradition, and custodians of hidden wisdom. The leopard was often invoked during initiation rites, where initiates would be symbolically devoured and reborn, stripped of their former identities and remade with new purpose. Leopard masks, used during dances and rituals, were thought to temporarily summon the spirit of the beast, allowing the wearer to channel its energy and access visions beyond the realm of the ordinary. Some Yoruba myths describe the leopard as a rival of the trickster deity, Eshu, who governs crossroads, chaos, and communication. Their encounters in stories are often dramatic, duels of wit and power that reveal much about the human condition. Where Eshu embodies unpredictability and change, the leopard symbolizes discipline, strength, and continuity. This cosmic tension between wild cunning and regal control was reflected in the daily lives of those who told the stories, giving spiritual structure to a world full of contradictions. These myths served not only as entertainment, but as moral instruction passed down through generations in chants, dances, and ceremonial drama. Leopards also held astronomical significance in Yoruba cosmology. Some traditional star charts interpreted specific constellations as the tracks or form of a divine leopard walking across the night sky. During certain seasons when particular stars rose or fell, it was believed that the celestial leopard was either hunting spirits or watching over ancestral domains. Priests would perform rituals timed to these movements, invoking the protective strength of the leopard to safeguard crops, homes, and even entire villages. The rhythm of the stars was matched by the rhythm of drums in the ritual circle, where dancers painted in leopard spots moved as incarnations of the eternal predator. Despite the encroachment of colonial influence and the passage of time, the spirit of the Yoruba leopard king endures. In modern festivals like the Osun Osogbo and other royal ceremonies, leopard motifs still appear in textiles, carvings, and ritual dance. While some of the more mystical beliefs have faded, the respect for the leopard symbolism remains deeply rooted in cultural identity. Leopard imagery has even found its way into contemporary Nigerian fashion and art, where it is not merely aesthetic, but a declaration of strength, elegance, and sacred lineage. It speaks to an unbroken thread that connects the living to their ancestors through the spotted coat of a predator who never bows. The Yoruba say that the leopard walks softly but strikes hard, an animal whose grace conceals immense power, whose silence is more eloquent than any roar. In the legacy of kings, in the shadows of sacred groves, in the hidden stories told by the firelight, the leopard lives on. It is both creature and symbol, hunter and guide, ancient and immortal. And for the Yoruba, it is a reminder that true power moves with purpose, cloaked in silence, watching from the trees. Part 13. Inuit Spirit Cats. Among the icebound legends of the far north, where the land stretches white and endless under auroras that shimmer like ghostly rivers, tales persist of elusive feline spirits that prowl the periphery of Inuit folklore. While the Inuit traditionally revere animals like the polar bear, raven, seal, and wolf, whispers remain of a more mysterious figure, cat-like spirits with sharp eyes and softer steps, beings that inhabit the threshold between hunter and hunted, the living and the dead. These spectral felines are not household companions, nor are they merely wild creatures. They are thought to be omens, guardians, or shapeshifters, beings tied to ancient spirit realms beneath the ice and deep within the night sky. Unlike the more well-known animal spirits of Inuit belief, these cat figures are shadowy and rare, often encountered only in visions, dreams, or by those dwelling at the edge of death. Some oral traditions speak of the chikern, a ghostly, hairless, dog-like creature that causes madness in those who encounter it. But in certain stories passed through isolated coastal communities, a feline variation appears, less grotesque and more cunning. This version bears shimmering eyes and fur as pale as sea ice, often invisible except in moonlight or storm. Such a creature is never fully seen, but sensed, a brushing along the tent wall, a faint growl on the wind, claw prints in snow that vanish without a trace. Elders would warn that this cat was no ordinary spirit. It moved between the world of animals and that of the dead, slipping across plains as easily as it crossed tundra. Hunters who disrespected prey, or who wandered too far from the settlement, were said to risk meeting its gaze and never returning whole. Unlike Western cats often associated with luck or domesticity, these Arctic cats were liminal forces, neither friend nor foe, but watchers and enforcers of balance. Inuit shamanic traditions, practiced by the Ngakuk, speak of animal guides that assist in spirit journeys, and while wolves and birds are commonly invoked, there are rare accounts where feline spirits serve as silent escorts. These were not called upon lightly. When a shaman needed to retrieve a soul from the shadowed underworld or enter a trance deep enough to contact beings beyond the veil, the cat spirit might arrive, unbidden, demanding respect. It did not speak, but it guided, flickering between snowdrift and aurora. Some said it could leap between stars, its paws silent even in the sky. The Inuit believe in a complex world of spirits, Anikatiga, the echoes of the living, and in some instances the feline spirit is treated as a kind of guardian over these echo beings. Cats, unlike the dogs kept for sleds and hunting, were solitary, secretive, and almost never kept. But in these tales their rarity elevated them. The spirit cat is not a member of the living world, but its emissary, reminding humans that silence holds power and that what is unseen is no less real. The feline's glinting eye in the dark is often compared to a hole in the world, one that looks back. In some regions, Inuit tattoo traditions included subtle marks that might resemble whiskers or claw motifs, especially on women who were healers or spirit speakers. Though commonly interpreted as markings for protection or spiritual passage, a few obscure tales suggest these lines honored the silent cats who guided souls across the edge of life. When someone passed into the land of the dead and their spirit lingered too long, it was sometimes said a pale cat would come walking across the frozen sea, its form barely rippling in the snow. It would find the soul, circle it thrice, and then lead it into the northern lights, its body stretching until it became a streak in the aurora. There are also cryptid-like reports from travelers and explorers, long dismissed as hallucination or frost-induced madness. Early records occasionally describe lynx spirits or snow-white cats, larger than known species, with unnerving intelligence and glowing eyes. Though the Canadian lynx does exist in parts of the Arctic boreal region, these spectral sightings far north of its range tell of something else, creatures that vanish too easily, that appear during solar storms or after intense shamanic rituals. These accounts, passed down as caution or marvel, blur the line between myth and experience, suggesting that the feline spirits of the north may be more than metaphor. Inuit cosmology places great emphasis on balance between life and death, sea and land, heat and cold. The cat, a creature that watches but rarely interferes, is a perfect symbol for this equilibrium. It is not the force that kills, nor the one that heals, but the one that knows when to act and when to wait. Felines in these traditions are not pets or predators. They are embodiments of stillness, clarity, and deep knowing. They watch the seals, the ice flows, and the breath of the storm itself. Where others charge forward, they linger. They know that time in the Arctic flows differently, and so they wait for their moment to appear, if only for a second. In modern Inuit art, subtle nods to these myths still appear. A carved figure with elongated ears and narrow eyes might bear the spirit of the ancient snow cat. Beaded patterns on parkas may echo feline tracks in snow, winding in deliberate spirals. Some say that during the coldest part of winter, if one sleeps outside under a clear sky and dreams of a white cat, it is an omen of protection or a warning that a great change is near. Such dreams are not dismissed. In cultures where the line between waking and dreaming is permeable, the visit of a cat spirit is treated with the same gravity as a polar bear's roar or a falling star. In the silence of the Arctic, broken only by the wind and the crunch of snow under boot, the presence of a spirit cat is both unsettling and comforting. It is a reminder that the world is alive with eyes that do not blink, with paws that leave no trail, with beings that exist just beyond the range of torchlight. The Inuit do not name them lightly, nor speak of them too often. But when the storm rises and the snow dances in spirals, some still say they've seen a flicker of movement, a shape too fluid to be fox, too graceful to be dog, something feline, something watching, something old. Part 14. Persian Isfahan Cats of Kings. In the heart of old Persia, where domes glistened like turquoise under desert sun and poetry drifted on the jasmine-scented air, the city of Isfahan stood not only as a center of science and art, but also of secrets. Among these were tales of a breed of elegant cats, said to have been treasured by the Safavid kings, silken creatures draped in silver and smoke, their eyes lined like calligraphy. These weren't mere pets, but symbols woven into the fabric of royal identity. The Isfahan cats, as they were known in quiet chambers and private gardens, moved with an uncanny grace that some said was learned from spirits. Unlike any common feline, they were believed to have a sense of presence and stillness that drew scholars to contemplation and mystics to awe. These regal cats, often appearing in silk paintings or etched into the sides of ceramic vessels, were more than decorative muses. They were thought to be imbued with baraka, spiritual blessing, that allowed them to ward off illness and misfortune. Some Sufi poets described the Isfahan cat as a companion of silence, an animal who could detect dishonest intentions, especially in court or scholarly gatherings. It was said they could sense the shifting vibrations of a man's soul. If an Isfahan cat turned its back on someone, servants might whisper of betrayal or even poison. In this way, the cats were silent counselors in a world where secrets carried the weight of kingdoms. Isfahan's grand mosques and gardens, their reflecting pools still as glass, often played host to these animals. The cats roamed with subtle dignity, reportedly allowed to nest in the most hallowed of corners, even within libraries where Quranic manuscripts rested. While dogs were ritually impure in Islamic law, cats held a special status due, in part to the Prophet Muhammad's reported affection for them. But the Isfahan breed took this reverence further, embodying the intellectual and artistic ideals of the court. Their coats, long, dense, often pale grey with darker streaks, mirrored the patterns of Persian carpets, and their movement seemed to mimic the rhythm of Persian classical music. They were creatures designed, some whispered, by divine intention. Legends told in low voices claim that one particular cat, belonging to Shah Abbas I, never aged. Descriptions passed through generations mentioned a cat with heterochromatic eyes, one amber, one green, that watched every political discussion with detached interest. This cat, unnamed in formal records, was believed to be the reincarnation of a Zoroastrian priest, cursed or perhaps blessed to remain in feline form. It reportedly lived for decades, unchanging, curling itself around the feet of philosophers, kings and spies. When it vanished, some said the empire began to wane, its golden age receding with the light behind the cat's eyes. Isfahan cats were also believed to appear in dreams before key decisions or events. Merchants traveling the Silk Road claimed visions of a shimmering cat walking across desert sands preceded a profitable venture or a deadly betrayal. This idea of cats as dream guides extended to magical thinking in the bazaars, where traders sometimes left bowls of cream out overnight, not for rats, but to attract the invisible feline spirits that roamed the city's ancient streets. If the cream remained untouched, it meant safety. If it was gone, well, not all cats leave paw prints. The cats also played subtle roles in Persian miniatures, those intricate, jewel-toned paintings tucked inside illuminated manuscripts. To the untrained eye, a small cat lounging in the corner might seem incidental, but in mystical circles, such imagery signified secret knowledge, spiritual protection, or a subtle nod to a hidden figure in court politics. One well-known painting from the 17th century depicts a royal astrologer consulting the stars while a long-haired cat perches beside the astrolabe, eyes fixed not on the heavens but on the observer, breaking the fourth wall. To some, this was no accident but a visual spell, an enchantment embedded in ink. Persian folklore also includes tales of cats who guard sacred texts, hissing when blasphemous hands approach or mewling softly when a reader stumbles upon a divine truth. In a famous parable, a blind scribe regains his vision after caring for a wounded cat that appears nightly in his library. When the man eventually asks the cat its name, it vanishes, leaving behind a single paw print burned into the cover of his manuscript. That book, it is said, still rests locked in a private library beneath Isfahan, guarded by descendants of the same cat, though no one agrees on whether those descendants are real or spectral. The association of cats with kingship extended to royal architecture as well. Certain mosaic patterns in palace courtyards bear feline motifs, so subtle they go unnoticed until seen at an angle, under the right light. These designs, once decoded, often point toward hidden doors or acoustic anomalies, spaces where secrets were shared and overheard. One legend says that in a now ruined wing of the Shehol Sotuan Palace, a hidden chamber existed where a cat-shaped marble fountain stood at the center. Water would pour from its mouth only during lunar eclipses, when the king would retreat to consult omens in solitude. The chamber has never been found. The modern Persian cat, now spread worldwide, is a diluted echo of the Isfahan original, more domesticated, less enigmatic. Yet in the alleyways of the old city, where shadows stretch long at dusk and the hum of prayer mingles with birdsong, there are still sightings of cats that seem too regal, too knowing to be ordinary. Their eyes glint with the hush of ancient verse, their steps fall into rhythms of long-forgotten music. They carry a kind of dignity no breeding can replicate. In the stillness of the Persian twilight, when the air carries the scent of saffron and stone, some say the Isfahan cats of kings still walk, guarding secrets that were never meant to die. Part 15. Polynesian tiki cats. Tat. Across the scattered islands of Polynesia, from the volcanic ridges of Hawaii to the wind-carved cliffs of Rapa Nui, the mythology of gods, spirits, and the natural world is steeped in stories that blur the lines between animal and divine. While cats are not indigenous to the Pacific, their arrival aboard European and Asian vessels centuries ago stirred the imaginations of islanders. These strange creatures, slipping silently through shadows, eyes glowing in the night, moving like spirits through leaf and thatch, merged into existing spiritual frameworks. In time, cats became woven into the lore of tiki figures, protective ancestral spirits carved into stone or wood. Unlike domestic pets, these feline presences weren't simply animals, they were omens, watchers, sometimes even avatars of the gods or ancestors themselves. Over generations, the idea of tiki cats evolved into something neither wholly myth nor fully animal. A fusion of tangible grace and spectral power, lingering at the crossroads of worlds. In oral legends passed down through elders in remote island communities, stories speak of ghostly cats appearing at dusk near sacred mare, stone temple platforms, often found near groves or coastlines. These weren't seen as ordinary creatures, but as signs that something invisible was stirring. Descriptions vary. Some speak of cats as large as dogs, their fur the color of lava rock or pale as sea foam, while others claim they could vanish entirely if stared at too long. Fishermen told of seeing them walking the shoreline before a storm, their tails flicking like sea serpents, their eyes flashing in rhythms that matched distant thunder. When such a cat crossed the path of a traveler or appeared before a journey, interpretations differed wildly. Some saw them as bearers of divine protection, while others whispered that a taboo had been broken and the spirit world had sent a silent emissary. Among certain Polynesian cultures, especially in islands where the belief in omakwa, ancestral spirits that take animal forms, remains strong, cats began to feature as unusual but potent spirit manifestations. More common forms included sharks, owls, and lizards, yet the emergence of cats in this pantheon surprised even oral historians. These cat-like omakwa weren't always seen clearly, but were felt: the sudden chill in a tropical room, the weightless step atop a woven mat, the sensation of being watched through slatted bamboo walls. They appeared to families who had forgotten their genealogies or disrespected sacred sites. Their message was not always punitive, sometimes a warning, sometimes a visitation heavy with ancestral sorrow or pride. In these tales, the tiki cat wasn't just a mystical creature. It was a bridge across time, a fur-cloaked emissary of the old ways. Artifacts and carvings from lesser-known islands occasionally reveal feline-like figures hidden in plain sight. Among the angular features of traditional tiki masks and guardians, subtle feline elements can be found: pointed ears, almond-shaped eyes, or carved whisker marks along the snout. Some of these figures are not given names, but their presence is unmistakable in the symmetry of motifs that combine human and animal. Researchers debate whether these elements were direct representations of cats or symbolic references to qualities like stealth, mystery, and liminality, traits closely associated with both spiritual intermediaries and the feline form. These symbols often guarded thresholds, doorways, paths to caves, or ritual stones, acting as protectors between the physical and spiritual worlds. Their silence was sacred. A tiki cat never needed to roar. Its stare alone could stall time. One enigmatic legend from the Tuamotu archipelago tells of a giant white cat that walked across the lagoon each year during the vernal equinox. Its paws left no ripples, only glowing impressions that shimmered like moonlight on coral. Islanders would remain indoors during these nights, not out of fear, but reverence. It was believed that to look directly into the cat's eyes was to remember the face of an ancestor you had never met. Those who claimed to see it reported vivid dreams for days, visions of long-lost relatives, unknown chants, or sometimes cryptic warnings delivered in voices older than memory. Fishermen who once scoffed at these tales found their nets mysteriously torn or their canoes drifted off course, leading some to leave offerings on the shoreline. Shells, feathers, fish bones, or small carved tokens meant to honor the unseen. On other islands, the legend takes a more protective form. In Samoa, it is said that tiki cats watch over sleeping children. Their presence is not always visible, but children would speak of soft fur brushing their cheeks, or a gentle purring beneath the sound of wind through coconut palms. Mothers sometimes sang lullabies invoking a feline spirit to chase nightmares away. The idea of cats as dream guardians grew into symbolic customs, with cat-shaped talismans tucked into sleeping mats or hung from rafters woven of pandanus leaves. These cats were said to patrol the spirit world as it intersected with dreams, ensuring that no malevolent force could slip in while a soul was vulnerable. They were seen not as pets or even deities, but sacred companions walking the line between breath and spirit. Stories from the Marquesas Islands describe a group of ancient feline protectors that lived atop volcanic craters, guarding the buried bones of chiefs and warriors. These cats, larger than any known breed, were described as glowing faintly at night, their fur streaked like smoke and starlight. When invaders desecrated burial sites during colonial times, legends tell of the cats erupting from the craters, seen only in blurs and burning footprints across black lava fields. Elders reported feeling intense pressure in their temples, as though some spiritual boundary had cracked open. These cats were never caught or clearly photographed. Still, generations later, locals speak of seeing glowing eyes watching from ridges during ancestral festivals, silent and unmoving, as if ensuring the rituals are done correctly. Modern Polynesian tattoo art has quietly adopted the tiki cat motif in its symbology. While the design may not be recognized by outsiders, among those steeped in oral tradition, the image of a cat, curved in motion, half-shadowed, watching, carries powerful meaning. These tattoos often sit close to the chest or on the spine, signifying spiritual guardianship and the ability to walk between worlds. The designs are intricate, sometimes incorporating elements of wind, stars, or wave patterns, linking the cat to broader natural forces. Among some carvers and ink artists, the tiki cat is treated with a reverence akin to that of old gods, not because it is feared, but because it represents the silent truths that cannot be spoken aloud. Though feral cats now roam the Pacific in large numbers, their spiritual counterparts remain distinct in memory and ritual. The tiki cats of Polynesia are not to be mistaken for mere animals. They are watchers, symbols of boundaries kept and broken, of silence preserved through generations. Their legends have no temples, but they echo through lava caves, reef tides, and midnight winds. They walk where memory thins, where old gods slumber beneath banyan roots and volcanic stone. If you feel them nearby, eyes in the dark, the hush before the wind shifts, it is not coincidence. It is something older than language, softer than nightfall, and far more patient than time. Part 16. Roman Domus Cat. The Ons. In the sunlit atrium of a Roman domus where marble columns supported a skyward opening and vines draped themselves across painted walls, cats held an honored place, both practical and symbolic. Mosaics beneath peristyles often featured crouching felines rendered in jewel-like tesserae, their bodies poised and alert as though ready to leap into motion. These images flank depictions of the lares, household deities who guarded the family's fate, suggesting an intimate partnership. The divine protection offered by the lares was mirrored in the cat's vigilant watch over the home. Patrons commissioned such mosaics not merely for decoration but as silent charms, invoking feline guardianship against vermin, uninvited spirits, and every unseen threat that might slip through the domus's open door. Frescoes discovered in Pompeii and Herculaneum offer a vivid window into these beliefs. In one grand villa, a sweeping wall scene shows a lithe cat poised atop a marble bench, its tail arching high, while visitors recline on couches beneath a painted pergola. The cat's gaze follows the swirling flocks of doves that fill the sky, a subtle reminder of balance, predator and prey, beauty and brutality. Painters used the cat's form to convey serenity, its supple musculature evoking both rest and readiness. Behind these images lay a deeper theology. Cats embodied quis et vigilantia, the calm alertness essential not only for physical safety but for spiritual harmony in a world thought rife with invisible forces. Beyond murals, the Romans celebrated cats in everyday objects: terra sigillata dishes stamped with feline reliefs, oil lamps molded in the shape of reclining cats, and bronze statuettes placed on shelves alongside glassware. In kitchens and pantries, cat motifs served as constant reminders of the animal's role in controlling pests that could decimate grain stores or spoil wine cellars. Dining rooms would display elaborately decorated plates where a cat chased stylized mice beneath grapevines, blurring the line between utilitarian wear and ritual object. Guests at lavish banquets might handle these vessels without a second thought, yet in each stamped whisker and etched paw lay a talisman of domestic well-being. Literary sources deepen our understanding of Roman attitudes toward cats. Petronius, recounting wild banquets in his decadent satire, describes black cats weaving among guests, sparking superstitious panic and whispered rumors of witchcraft. Martial, too, paints scenes of feast halls where furtive felines darted beneath tables, their presence as natural as the aroma of roasted boar. Pliny the Elder extolled the cat's visual acuity, recommending that farmers welcome cats into granaries at dusk to protect vital reserves. These references underscore the cat's dual reputation, at once a useful farmhand and a creature of uncanny perception that could stir both affection and anxiety in the Roman heart. Romans often looked to the cat's mythic side when fashioning charms and spells. Tiny lead tablets inscribed with binding curses bear scratched images of cat heads alongside cryptic words, binding rivals and invoking feline swiftness. Women in late antiquity placed small bronze cat amulets in cradle swaddles to soothe crying infants, believing the purring spirit of the cat could calm both child and household discord. The cat's liminal nature, straddling the line between domestication and wild independence, made it a potent symbol in magic circles, an animal that traversed thresholds of fear and protection, life and death. In the countryside, grand villas that processed olive oil and wine bore cat reliefs on storage vats and millstones. These reliefs, often combined with lions' heads, linked rural production to imperial power. Where Rome's emperors asserted dominion with legions, the humble cat secured the kitchen's delicate balance against vermin. Agronomic treatises of the period mention the cat's vital role in controlling snakes and rodents, even suggesting that smoke from burning cat hairs could repel certain pests. Estate managers recorded the presence of mousing cats in ledgers, noting their value in both coin and spiritual currency. Religious celebrations, such as the Lemuria festival held each May to exorcise malevolent spirits, saw cats take on a ritual prominence. Families would walk barefoot through atria at night, tossing black beans over their shoulders while reciting incantations to the deceased. Following these rites, cats were said to dart through rooms, chasing away the last lingering shades. Far from simple superstition, this practice wove together public ceremony and private belief. The cat's flesh and blood presence completed the ritual, ensuring that spirits were not only called, but actively driven from the threshold. Funerary monuments in Roman suburbs offer poignant testimony to the deep bond between cats and humans. Tombstones depict reclining cat companions at the foot of the deceased's effigy, their tails curled in respectful repose. Inscriptions sometimes read "To my faithful guardian," acknowledging the cat's role far beyond mere pest control. Such memorials affirm that cats were seen as intimate partners in life, creatures whose personalities and protective natures earned them a place in the rituals of death and remembrance. Their images provided comfort or warning, promising a measure of security even in the uncertain journey beyond. From lavish urban domus to humble villa retreats, the cat's image permeated Roman life, bridging the ordinary and the divine. Artisans and authors alike celebrated the cat's elegance, its mysterious aloofness, and its fierce devotion to home and hearth. In every mosaic tile, ceramic relief, and carved shrine, the essence of the cat persists, an emblem of vigilance, a talisman of safety, and a testament to the enduring power of a creature that, on silent paws, left an indelible mark on the ancient world. Part 17. Hawaiian humpaya cats. On mist-draped ridges of the Hawaii Islands, where ancient lava tubes yawn beneath fern-cloaked valleys, locals once whispered of a creature neither wholly cat nor purely bat, a being they called the humpaya cat. According to island lore, this spectral feline emerged under new moons, its fur as dark as cooled lava, and its eyes aglow like incandescent embers. It moved with feline stealth along the forest floor, yet when it leapt skyward its leathery wings unfurled, carrying it into the night air with a hushed flutter. This dual nature intrigued Hawaiians, who saw in the humpaya cat a bridge between earth and sky, predator of rodents by night and watcher of sacred groves by day. Early kahuna priests claimed that the humpaya cat was a guardian of Luakini, ancient sacrificial temples, where its silent patrols ensured that only the worthy entered these forbidden precincts. In the ruins of such heiau, engravings were found of a beast with cat's ears and bat's wings, carved into stone altars to ward off desecration. Offerings of tia leaves, red feather leaves, and bowls of poi would be placed before these carvings, honoring the creature's role as sentinel. Intricate feather standards known as kahili, once used to mark kapa-clad royalty, sometimes bore small effigies of the humpaya cat, affirming the animal's sacred status among chiefs and priests alike. Fishermen along Kona's rocky shores spoke of hearing the creature's haunting call, half feline yowl, half high-pitched squeak, echoing through sea spray and palm fronds. They believed that this cry foretold the shifting of ocean currents and the movement of schools of upolu fish. By interpreting its tones, the low rumble indicating calm seas, the sharp trill warning of incoming surf, canoe captains adjusted their sails and nets accordingly. In this way, the humpaya cat blended its roles as both hawk-eyed guardian and marine oracle, its presence woven into the islanders' livelihoods upon the ever-changing Pacific. When famine threatened, families would leave bowls of coconut cream and roasted luau leaves beneath kiawe trees, hoping the hopi-happy-ho cat would lap them and bestow fertility upon taro patches and sweet potato fields. If the offerings vanished at dawn, it was taken as a sign that the cat had accepted the plea and that crops would swell green and abundant. Conversely, untouched bowls meant harvests might fail, prompting communities to gather for public ceremonies of chant and dance to appeal anew for the creature's favor. This agricultural ritual underscores how deeply the Hopi-Hapi-Ho cat's dual identity resonated with cycles of sustenance and survival. Naturalists of the 19th century, arriving with clipboards and compasses, encountered native storytellers who pointed to the island's only indigenous land mammal, the Hawaiian hoary bat, as the creature behind these legends. The bat's nocturnal hunts for insects above Taroloi pond fields would scatter swarms of kahuli snails into the mud, an indirect boon to farmers. Its fluttering silhouette among breadfruit trees by twilight, coupled with the katydid-like squeaks it emitted, may have inspired tales of a cat-bat hybrid. Yet the bat's solitary nature and near-silent flights gave rise to sightings described more in the language of myth than natural history, preserving its place in Hawaiian imagination as something beyond mere zoology. In modern times, the Hopi-Hapi-Ho cat endures in chants and hula, where dancers invoke its lithe grace and silent vigilance. Feathered dancers sway beneath fluttering paon skirts, their arms rising in arcs that recall the bat's wing beats, one hand clawed like a feline paw. Drums mimic the creature's heartbeat, slow, steady, and the dancer's feet drum the ground like paws padding through undergrowth. These performances are more than entertainment. They are living tributes to a being that embodies the island's enduring belief in intertwined realms of the seen and the unseen. Conservationists have embraced the legend in efforts to protect the endangered hoary bat, using the Hompat's-Pato cat as a cultural emblem to galvanize local support. Educational murals in village schools depict the bat with feline features amidst native koa forests, reminding children of the creature's mythic past and ecological present. Night tours through rainforest preserves, once clandestine gatherings to glimpse the phantom cat, are now guided encounters that blend storytelling with bat monitoring, illuminating how myth can serve science without stripping away mystery. Archaeologists exploring cave temples have turned their flashlights on petroglyphs of a winged cat figure, scratched into basalt walls near bird effigies and canoe carvings. Radiocarbon dating places these images at over 1,000 years old, suggesting that belief in the Hompat's-Pato cat predates European contact. The absence of domestic cats in pre-contact Hawaii confirms that these feline attributes arose from imagination rooted in natural observation, an organic fusion of local fauna and spiritual meaning, not borrowed from seaborne invaders. In every rustle of wing and ghostly yowl that drifts through canopy and cave, the Hompat's-Pato cat remains a creature of captivating duality. It reminds Hawaiians that the boundaries between land, sea, and sky, and between life and legend, are woven with threads too fine to see in daylight, but gleaming with enchantment under the moon. Whether as a guardian of ancient temples, an oracle of the ocean, or a patient sentinel of the farms and forests, the Hompat's-Pato cat endures, a testament to the island's capacity to blend the practical with the mysterious, the natural with the supernatural, in a single, elegant form. Part 18. Tibetan Snow Lion Myths. High on the windswept plateaus of Tibet, where jagged peaks pierce the sky and prayer flags snap like wings in the thin air, the snow lion roams the realm of myth. Far from any ordinary cat, this creature is said to possess a coat of bleached ivory tipped with turquoise and gold, the colors of mountain ice and dawn's first light, and a roar that echoes through glacial valleys like thunder from the sky. To glimpse a snow lion was to witness the very spirit of the Himalaya at play, powerful yet serene, fierce yet benevolent. Monasteries carved into cliffs often display its form in murals and stone reliefs, reminding practitioners that the lion's grace and strength stand as guardians of the Dharma. Legends describe the snow lion as a tutelary spirit of the mountains, a protector of those who trek the perilous passes. Pilgrims bound for Mount Kailash spoke of hearing its rasping breath on stormy nights, a sound like ice crystals grinding together. Those who followed the resonance found their frozen lodges showered with snow leopards' tracks the next morning, interpreted as the snow lion's mark of protection. Sherpas and yak herders told of seeing white shapes drifting among talus slopes, their forms indistinct until they passed overhead against the sky. Such encounters were both thrilling and humbling, reminding travelers that even in barrenness, powerful spirits walked beside them. In Tibetan Thanga paintings, the snow lion appears rampant, one paw raised in blessing, the other crushing serpents that symbolize ignorance and fear. Its flowing mane is often painted in swirls that recall wind-blown snow, while its eyes, oversized and rimmed in sapphire, radiate compassion and fearlessness. Some yogic texts advise practitioners that meditating on the snow lion's image can imbue the mind with inner strength, allowing one to conquer mental obstacles as the lion conquers mountain summits. The mantra Om Shri Simha Simha Sava Siddhi Hri is sometimes recited alongside the lion's image, invoking both worldly protection and progress on the path to enlightenment. Oral epics tell of a snow lion king whose roar stirred avalanches to bury armies of marauding invaders. Ancient chronicles describe how Tibetan defenders, vastly outnumbered, called upon the lion spirit by lighting pyres of juniper incense atop fortress walls. From the smoke emerged a massive lion, its pelt trailing like drifting snow, driving invaders back and freeing the valleys from conquest. Whether recorded in stone inscriptions or whispered around nomad fires, these stories reinforce the snow lion's role as a guardian of both land and culture, a spirit that answers the call of those who place faith in its power. Snow lions also figure in Tibetan astrology and calendrical cycles. One cycle incorporates the year of the white lion every 60 years, a period said to bring renewal in both monastic and secular life. During these years, new monasteries are consecrated, ancient thankas are ritually repainted, and communities hold lion dances beneath full moons. These dances, performed by masked monks leaping in flowing white garments, mimic the lion's bounding grace across mountain ridges. The movements are believed to stir protective energy, aligning the human world with the benevolence of the high peaks. In the hidden realms of esoteric Buddhism, meditators speak of entering the lion's gate, a liminal threshold where mortal consciousness meets primordial awareness. The snow lion is the gatekeeper, its roar collapsing the dualities of self and other, subject and object. Advanced practitioners envision themselves riding upon its back as they ascend the subtle channels of the body, their minds alight with clarity as cold and pure as Himalayan streams. The lion's paws become symbols of compassion and wisdom, each tread a vow to uphold truth in a world of shifting snowdrifts. Even in secular Tibetan art, the snow lion endures. Carpets woven in nomad encampments often feature stylized lion heads at their centers, protective motifs to ward off misfortune in the yurt. Jewelry carved from yak bone and inlaid with turquoise may bear a lion's visage, serving as a talisman for herders whose livelihoods depend on fierce resilience against nature's extremes. Even farmers burning barley straw to prepare fields for spring invoke the snow lion in song, believing its spirit blesses soil as barren as rock with the promise of new growth. European explorers and early anthropologists recorded snow lion lore with a mix of skepticism and wonder, Some dismissed sightings as hallucinations brought on by altitude, while others noted that the region's snow leopards and ibex could inspire tales out of real encounters. Yet even Western scholars conceded that the snowfields and monasteries of Tibet breathe a rarefied air of myth, where the boundaries between animal spirit and deity blur. In 20th century expeditions, those who recited the lion's mantra at high passes reported fewer troubles with altitude sickness and storms, an odd confluence of faith and survival that travelers could not easily explain away. Today, the image of the snow lion has transcended Tibet's borders, appearing on flags, coins, and international festival posters as a symbol of courage and cultural pride. Yet on remote plateaus where prayer wheels spin in swirling snow, the real power of the snow lion remains entwined with faith, landscape, and legend. In every howling wind that rips across the crags, in every swirl of fresh powder, one can sense its presence, majestic, mysterious, and eternally watching over the roof of the world. Part 19. West African Cat Tricksters. In the sun-drenched savannas and dense rainforests of West Africa, cats slink not only through tall grasses, but also through the folds of oral tradition as cunning tricksters. In Akan tales of Ghana, the domestic cat, Okra, often appears as a wily creature, able to speak human tongues and transform its shape at will. One well-loved story recounts how a starving cat wandered into a chief's courtyard, feigning weakness until it was fed. Within nights, it revealed its true form as the spirit of a deceased elder, testing the village's charity and rewarding kindness with secret knowledge of hidden water sources. Its ability to shift between guises, Manji Mauser by day, noble ancestor by moonlight, sets the tone for myriad other yarns in which feline tricksters blur the line between spirit and flesh. Among the fond people of Benin, children's rhymes describe Agbokor, the laughing cat, famed for its elaborate pranks. Agbokor's mischief often involves stealing market produce. Plantains and maize cobs vanish from woven baskets, only to be discovered later in the thatch of distant huts. Market women accuse one another before realizing the culprit is never human, but a shape-shifting cat with a fondness for human drama. To counter these antics, merchants sometimes scatter bits of smoked fish as decoy offerings, a gesture intended to appease Agbokor's appetite and pacify its desire for spectacle. Should the tricks continue unabated, the cat is said to lie in silent wait, its golden eyes gleaming at dawn, reminding villagers that cunning is never fully tamed. In Hausa lore of northern Nigeria, the cat is less common yet no less mystical, a creature called mythikana, who walks between the realms of jinn and man. Legends tell of mythikana forming pacts with sorcerers, trading its stealth for protection against rival spirits. During full moons, these witches' cats are believed to gather atop termite mounds, their spines quivering in unison like the hairs of a standing jinn. Witnesses report hearing whispered conversation, a low, sinuous hiss, and seeing feline silhouettes merge into the shadows of invisible spirits. Break the gathering by casting salt in a circle. Elders advise and watch as these spectral cats vanish with exaggerated bows, as if mocking the very barriers that bind them. Igbo stories from eastern Nigeria celebrate the clever cat as the eternal foil to the boastful tortoise. In one tale, a tortoise challenges a cat to a race across a flooded river. The tortoise, sure of its own strength, mounts a hastily laced raft and departs, only to find the cat perched calmly on a floating kapok seed. Midway, the tortoise's raft springs a leak, and the cat casually paddles the seed to safety with a twig before leaping to shore. The lesson, smarts over brawn, echoes through generations of storytelling, teaching children that thinking ahead often outmaneuvers raw power, especially when the adversary is as slippery as a river's current. Across Mali and Burkina Faso, among the Mande peoples, griots recite epic verses featuring the leopard, which, though wild, shares many traits with domestic cats in these traditions as both trickster and king of the spirit world. One narrative describes a leopard who tricks a band of hyenas into ceding their fire-making stones by promising a grand feast, only to dance away under cover of smoke. In local performance, a masked dancer clad in spotted cloth embodies the leopard's dual nature, weaving between drums and ululations to remind audiences that trickery can serve both self-interest and communal survival. The masked form, passed from elder to apprentice, preserves not only the story but the leopard's energy, ready to be unleashed in moments of social discord. Throughout the coastal regions of Sierra Leone and Liberia, KRU sailors told of the Sia cat, a creature that prowls dockyards at night, weaving between barrels of palm oil and rope coils. It is said that this cat can whisper secrets of remote islands and hidden shoals to sailors brave enough to leave fish scraps by the gangplank. In return, ships that heed its warnings, altering course to avoid reefs or storms, find safe passage, while those who ignore the sea cat's counsel meet with capsizing or long misfortune. Maritime superstition elevated the cat from mundane predator to oracle of the ocean's hidden perils, granting it influence over fates bound by wood and sail. In urban markets of modern-day Ghana and Nigeria, folklore still breathes life into cat trickster tales. Street performers animate these age-old narratives through puppet shows, using marionette cats with exaggerated features, arched backs, swishing tails, to deliver sharp-witted dialogue laced with humor and moral bite. Children and adults alike gather to watch as the puppet cat outsmarts ogres, outwits greedy traders, and often learns a lesson of its own. These performances, bouncing between English, pidgin, and local tongues, underscore the adaptability of cat trickster myths, forever evolving, forever relevant, tied to the social pulse of every generation. Across West Africa's vast patchwork of cultures, the trickster cat remains a mirror held up to human nature. Its antics, whether spirits testing generosity, pranksters upending social norms, or oracles guiding travelers, teach that cunning and chaos walk hand in paw. Orphans, traders, and scholars find a common thread in these narratives: the reminder that intelligence, like the cat's slinking gait, can be both gentle and dangerous, soothing and unsettling. In every whispered tale at a market stall, every masked dance in a village square, the cat prowls on, its tail swaying like a question, daring us to discern where myth ends and reality begins. Part 20. Aboriginal Dreamtime Cats. Long before the first European ships slid into the blue horizons of Australia, Dreamtime stories spoke of powerful feline ancestors whose massive paws left impressions in the earth that became rivers, gorges, and valleys. These cats were not the small domestic kind, but ancient marsupial hunters. Thylacoleo, the marsupial lion with jaws like shears, and Quincana, often called the long-tongued cat for its uniquely elongated palate, whose spirits slumbered in rock shelters beneath red ochre paintings. In Aboriginal lore, these Dreamtime cats shaped landscapes. They gouged out waterholes with thunderous jumps, carved out escarpments as they hunted giant kangaroos, and etched their bones into the land itself. Each fossilized fragment was, and remains, a reminder of their once living power, a bridge between the distant past and the cultural memory that still echoes through the outback's wind-bent trees. Across Arnhem Land, elders recount how the dreaming cat spirit Mirigan haunted the monsoon forests, its deep growls rolling through the canopy like distant thunder to announce the coming wet season or warn of lurking saltwater crocodiles. At sacred rock art sites, panels of red and white depict a broad-shouldered feline towering over human figures, its curved back hosting tiny celts and boomerangs beneath a sheltering moor. When cyclonic winds battered the northern coast, coastal clans believed Miragan would turn its great back to the sea, its rippling fur forming protective dunes that kept the water at bay. These tales are woven into songlines, melodic journeys that guide travelers from one freshwater spring to the next, each site marked by the ghostly silhouette of the Dreamtime cat. In the Great Victoria Desert, Chilbrook legends intertwine with Quincana's spirit in a tale of grief and renewal. Though Chilbrook is best known as a creator ancestor in Kana lore, Western desert traditions speak of a similar cat spirit named Wajiri, whose heartbreak at a broken promise caused her to weep 7 sacred wells into the ochre sands. Each spring bubbled up, a lifeline for desert dwellers and wild bilbies alike. Today, pilgrims trace these waterholes, scattering white quartz, believed to be Wajiri's shed whiskers at their edges. These quartz offerings shimmer under the blazing sun like tiny stars fallen to earth, a vivid testament to the cat spirit's enduring care, even in places where life seems impossible. Central to many Aboriginal hunting rites was the invocation of Dreamtime cats, stealth, and patience. Young initiates would slip through spinifex clumps at dawn, mimicking the ghost panther's silent tread, an archetype that later merged with the European feral cat, but retained its ancient connotations. By crouching beneath low branch forks, moving with a soft-footed grace, and pausing in absolute stillness, hunters sought to align their breaths and heartbeat with those of ancestral cats. Ritual songs, passed down in baritone chants, carried the memory of a cat's padded steps across leaf litter and bark, embedding in each hunter the lesson that only through patience and perfect timing could prey, and indeed destiny, be seized. At Nurlangi and Kakadu National Park, cave paintings offer one of the oldest testaments to Dreamtime cats. Ochre and charcoal figures of slender cat-like beasts stalk alongside wallabies and kangaroos, their tails curling in loops that mirror star trails above. Radiocarbon dating pushes these images back 20,000 years, long before the arrival of dingoes or European cats, indicating that the feline archetype was deeply rooted in the continent's earliest human cultures. These art sites cluster near perennial springs, suggesting a sacred link between water survival and the cat spirits that protected these refuges. In ceremony, dancers would paint cat spot motifs on their bodies and perform all-night rituals under the Milky Way, renewing their covenant with land and law. In the Torres Strait, Islander lore introduces a smaller domestic-sized sugar cat spirit whose luminescent eyes guide fishermen through the labyrinth of coral reefs and shifting tides. Unlike the vast marsupial cats, this sugar cat moves like quicksilver between the waves and the stars. Boat crews carry driftwood amulets carved in feline form, believing these charms house the sugar cat spirit. If an amulet vanishes overnight, it is said the spirit has departed in search of new souls to guide, and a formal apology ritual must be performed before safe passage can resume. The sugar cat's whispered instructions, heard as rippling echoes in the hull, direct sailors away from stagnant lagoons and toward abundant shoals. Despite the extinction of the megafaunal felines over 30,000 years ago, Dreamtime cats endure in contemporary Aboriginal art and storytelling, Community centers from Alice Springs to Darwin host workshops where elders teach youth to paint stylized feline silhouettes interwoven with concentric circles, representing waterholes and ancestral tracks. Digital projections of these cat forms dance across gnarled eucalyptus trunks under starlit skies, bridging ancient myth and modern technology. Each projection flickers as if alive, reminding participants that the dreamtime is not a vanished past, but an ever-present reality. Even today, remote communities report uncanny feline presences in the bush at dusk. The soft tap-tap of paws across red earth, the glint of eyes in torchlight, and the hush that descends when the breeze carries a cat's mournful mew. Biologists may chalk some sightings up to feral cats or foxes, but for those immersed in dreamtime lore, such rationalizations ring hollow. These dreamtime cats, whether spectral echoes of marsupial lions, avatars of creative ancestors, or shape-shifting spirits, remain vivid participants in the land's living story, a testament to a cultural tapestry woven from rock, water, wind, and fur. In every whispered tale around the campfire and every painted scene in rock shelters, the Dreamtime cats remind us that this land was sung, danced, and shaped by beings both fierce and wise. They teach that land and spirit intertwine, that water flows from tears and paws alike, and that even the most ephemeral of creatures can leave an indelible mark on the heart of a people. To listen for the soft padding of a cat's steps in the bush is to tune into a rhythm older than time, a heartbeat shared between human, animal, and the eternal dreaming. Part 21. Slavic Forest Cats. In the hush of dawn before the first church bells ring, villagers living on the edge of Slavic woodlands speak in hushed tones of the forest cats, creatures neither fully domestic nor wholly wild, whose lithe forms weave between birch and beech like shadows come to life. These cats are more than mere mousers. They are guardians of the liminal places where cultivated fields give way to ancient timber. Folk stories tell of tawny tabbies with eyes the color of amber lanterns, watching from moss-covered stumps as travelers pass. Their presence at the forest's threshold is taken as a quiet blessing. Grain stores remain unspoiled, silkworms roam unmolested, and no malevolent force dares cross where a forest cat has marked its territory with a silent paw. From the earliest Slavic faiths, cats were intertwined with Velis, god of cattle, wealth, and the underworld. While horses and oxen were sacred to Perun's thunder-split hills, cats slunk silently through Velis's domains, trusted to chase out malevolent spirits that crept in at twilight. Peasants whispered that a cat spotted at the edge of the birch grove was emboldened by Velis himself, granted the power to sense bargains struck between hunters and fey-kin. In return, cats were fed fresh milk beneath linden trees, a token of gratitude that bound their uncanny vigilance to the rhythm of village life. Forest lore also credits these cats with guiding those who dared stray off familiar paths. When woodcutters became lost in mist-shrouded glades, they sometimes glimpsed a striped form darting between trunks, pausing to look back as if beckoning them onward. Following its faint mew, they would emerge at the riverbank beyond known fords, safe, bewildered, and certain that no ordinary cat could so deftly navigate twilight's illusions. In some versions, the forest cat could swell to the size of a lynx, or shrink to a mere paw-length kitten, shape-shifting at will to evade prey or puzzle onlookers. This mutable nature keeps the line between myth and memory forever blurred. Though Leshy, the forest's capricious guardian, rules over trees and beasts, he is said to flee at the hissing glare of a cat. Hunters who carried a cat's whisker in their horn-tipped hat believed they could pass through Leshy's domain unmolested, for the spirit feared the cat's cunning more than any steel blade. Tales speak of Leshy chasing off ill-intentioned travelers who failed to leave offerings of bread and salt, only to meet a silent cat blocking their path until they performed the proper rituals. In these stories, the cat is no mere ally, but an enforcer of forest law, ensuring that humans respect boundaries older than any kingdom. In the hidden clearings where the enigmatic Baba Yaga conducts her midnight rites, her feline familiars prowl among totems and bone-fired braziers. These forest cats are said to bear the witch's will. Their eyes glow like coals as they slip silently between chicken bones scattered to summon spirits. Should an intruder disturb Baba Yaga's circle, her cats ring the clearing with low, rumbling mews, each call carrying a sliver of enchantment that can confuse or charm. To appease them, supplicants leave saucers of honey-ed mead and scraps of fresh venison, hoping the cats will purr approval and serve as guides out of the witch's domain. Beyond any single witch's domain, spectral forest cats roam ancient tumuli and burial mounds, their pale forms visible only in the glow of autumn's waning moon. Legends say these cats are the spirits of great hunters or chieftains, reborn to guard their tombs from grave robbers and profaners. On All Hallows' Eve, some hear their mournful yowls drifting on the wind, warning passers-by to keep their distance. Others insist that if you leave a token, an arrowhead or carved bone, at the mound's base, the cat will offer its spectral protection through winter's darkest nights. Seasonal lore ties forest cats to the turning cycles of growth and decay. Mushroom gatherers speak of watching a mottled cat slip among bracken in late summer, pausing before a flush of chanterelles and then vanishing before their eyes. Harvesters revered these silent guides, marking their spots to avoid stepping on delicate fungal threads. In spring, the cats were said to return to natal dens beneath fallen logs, their litters emerging just as the first wildflowers peeked through last year's leaf litter. Their comings and goings became calendars as reliable as the sun's arc across the sky. Even as modern roads carve through ancient groves, rural communities honor forest cats with simple offerings at the woodland's edge. A saucer of milk tucked beside a carved wooden fence post, a ribbon tied to a young sapling, small gestures meant to invite the cat's blessing on nearby fields and flocks. Should the milk be licked clean by dawn, farmers take it as a pledge of good fortune. Lambs will be born strong, and rains will come in gentle showers. These customs endure, a testament to humankind's enduring partnership with a creature that remains at once familiar and unfathomable. Through centuries of change, from pagan rites to Christian blessings, from dense woodlands to mechanized orchards, the Slavic forest cat endures as a symbol of balance between wilderness and home. Its lithe form, whether seen slinking through dewy ferns or whispered in tales by hearthlight, reminds us that the boundary between civilization and the primeval lies not in walls or roads but in respect. A cat's silent paws upon soft earth tell us that magic lives wherever we tread lightly, guided by instincts older than memory and stories that will outlast us all. Part 22. Native American Pishes. Across the vast boreal forests and shimmering lakes of the Great Lakes region, Ojibwe and Cree elders tell of the Pishes, the lynx spirit whose silent footprints guide lost souls through moonlit swamps and storm-lashed pines. Unlike the domestic cat, the Pishes is a solitary hunter of the wilderness, revered for its extraordinary night vision, so acute that even on the darkest nights it can distinguish the faintest movement of mouse or muskrat. In Anishinaabe, its name means cat or lynx, but in the spiritual vernacular it signifies much more: a keeper of hidden knowledge, a guardian of secret pathways where human sight and memory falter. When an Ojibwe trapper vanishes in sudden whiteout, It is said the species guides him back to shore, its eyes glowing like embers through swirling snow. Stories speak of the lynx's uncanny ability to see through illusions, the veils cast by mischievous spirits or malevolent wendigos that prey upon travelers. In winter, when swirling snows blanket familiar landmarks, an ancestral hunter might glimpse a pair of golden eyes brimming with ancient wisdom, beckoning him toward safe ground. He follows the faint track of padded steps, each indent shaped like a crescent moon, until the lights of the village appear. Upon reaching the firelit longhouse, he turns to thank his spectral guide, but the lynx has already melted into the drifting fog. Thus is born the belief that the species serves both as sentinel and psychopomp, shepherding the living through nature's labyrinth and ushering spirits across the threshold between worlds. Clan totems and birch bark scrolls often bear the stylized silhouette of the lynx, its tufted ears and stubby tail reduced to rhythmic lines that echo the sine waves of water and wind. Among the Midiwin, a secretive society of medicine people, initiation rites include songs that call upon the lynx's eyes to open under closed eyelids, granting young apprentices visions in trance that reveal the patterns threading through creation. Shape-shifting tales recount how powerful shamans don virtual lynx skins, their voices taking on the creature's gravelly purr as they stalk ailments and unbalance in the sick. In these stories, the lynx's stealth becomes a metaphor for spiritual insight. To heal is to move unseen, to discern the fault lines of spirit and flesh hidden beneath everyday illness. In Cree camps along the shores of Lake Winnipeg, fishermen lean into species lore when venturing out on brittle ice. Before cracking a hole for nets, they carve tiny lynx tracks into the frozen surface with bone awls, believing this tribute will ward off the ice's treacherous cracks. If they hear a soft snuffle or glimpse a silhouette at dusk, they interpret it as the spirit lynx inspecting their work. If it pauses, the ice is sound. If it retreats without a glance, fishermen look elsewhere, wary of unseen dangers beneath. This practice, a blend of practical caution and spiritual homage, underscores the animal's dual role in prosperity and protection across indigenous livelihoods. In summer, when the sun barely sinks below the horizon, children gather by firelight to hear legends of the species woman, a shapely lynx maiden who emerges from swamplands to teach proper hunting songs. She appears at dusk, upright on her hind legs, her fur dappled like the dappling of sun through cattails, holding a luminous orb said to be the captured echo of the loon's call. Those who witness her dance are blessed with skill. Arrows strike true, snares spring silently, and dreams carry omens of game migrations. Yet she is capricious. Offend her by leaving spilled porridge on the lodge floor, and the meat in traps will go rotten, or the canoe's paddles will splinter inexplicably. Respecting her domain ensures harmony with nature's rhythms. Artisans carry species symbols into modern weaving and beadwork, embedding lynx tracks along the hems of garments intended for powwow and ceremony. Each stitch recalls how the spirit lynx weaves between trees, as surely as thread through quill, binding human and forest in a single tapestry. Drum circles sometimes include a brief pause, 2 beats of silence meant to echo the lynx's stealth before resuming with renewed intensity. Dancers honor this pause, their steps mimicking the measured tread of the lynx, reinforcing a collective pulse that resonates with an ancient bond between people and cat spirit. Even today, scientists studying Acadia National Park's reintroduced Canada lynx speak of encountering tracks that appear and vanish in puzzling places, along narrow ridges too steep for their snowshoes, or atop wind-rippled dunes on Cape Breton beaches. Researchers, mainly non-indigenous, often dismiss these as anomalies, unaware of species lore carried by Mi'kmaq settlers who also revere the lynx as a sacred ward. Their songs, recorded in tribal archives, describe a spirit cat with whiskers woven from moonlight and breath scented like balsam fir. These interdisciplinary echoes remind us that scientific observation and indigenous knowledge, when united, can reveal a fuller understanding of the natural world. As climate change redraws the boundaries of habitat and migration, elders caution that the spirit of the species remains as crucial as ever. With boreal forests thinning and swamps drying, sightings grow rarer, and the lessons carried by the links of patience, respect, and deep listening become urgent. Youth are taught to look not only for physical tracks, but for the felt sense of presence in the stillness before dawn, in the hint of movement at the forest's edge. By honoring the lynx's legacy, communities seek to restore balance, ensuring that both species and people continue their intertwined journeys through the land's evolving story. Across snowfall and summer rains, near lakes shimmering like silver mirrors, and within cedar-scented groves, the species endures as a symbol of mystery and kinship. In its golden gaze lies an invitation to see beyond the veil of the obvious, to tread lightly upon the earth, and to remember that every rustle in the underbrush might be more than mere wildlife. It might be a calling from a spirit cat, reminding us that our fates are bound with its own. In honoring species, we honor the land's deepest wisdom and affirm the timeless dance between human and feline, mortal and myth. Part 23. Babylonian Temple Cats. In the heart of ancient Babylon, towering ziggurats rose like sacred mountains from the fertile plains, their staircases lined with statues of lion-headed deities whose vigilance was mirrored by living cats, free to roam the temple precincts. Devotees believed these felines served as direct emissaries to the great god Marduk and his healing consort, Gula. Each purr beneath the embossed reliefs, each supple step across sun-baked brick, was interpreted as a murmur of divine presence. Priests began each day by offering bowls of barley porridge, sweetened with date wine, left at the feet of seated cat statues, before being shared with the living animals, forging an unbroken circle of worship that fused human, animal, and divine in ritual devotion. Excavations at Uruk and Borsippa have unearthed thousands of small cat figurines, molded from bronze, faience, and alabaster, their collars often inlaid with lapis lazuli or carnelian. Petitioners left these votive offerings in niches around altars, seeking relief from drought, pestilence, or barrenness of the fields. Some statuettes stand barely 3 centimeters tall, others tower half a meter high, intended for placement in the innermost sanctuary. The variety of sizes and materials reveals a temple economy dependent on feline cult practice, artisans specialized in cat iconography, and the wealth of grateful worshippers fueled a flourishing trade in objects sanctified by the cat's touch. Legislative codes carved into clay tablets enforced the cat's sacred status. Anyone who harmed a temple cat, whether by neglect or violence, faced severe penalties, fines paid in silver, mandatory labor on the irrigation canals, or even banishment from the city. The temple maintained meticulous records of feline births and deaths, as though tracking a divine lineage. When a cat passed away, priests performed elaborate obsequies. The animal was anointed with aromatic oils, swathed in linen bearing inscribed prayers, and interred alongside small vials of healing salves. Mourners shaved their eyebrows in a public display of grief, acknowledging that the death of a temple cat was a blow to the community's spiritual fabric. At Gula's healing temples, cats played a pivotal role in medical rites. Physicians consulted feline oracles, observing a cat's keen interest in certain herbs or its refusal of others to guide their choice of remedies. A ritual healing would begin with an incantation addressed to the cat of Gula, after which the healer placed his hand gently on the cat's flank, symbolically transferring the animal's restorative essence. Poultices of clay mixed with myrrh and crushed mandrake were then applied to the patient, accompanied by the cat's purr, thought to resonate with the patient's vital energies and hasten recovery. During the annual grain festival for Nisaba, goddess of writing and harvest, the temple courtyard transformed into a tapestry of feline imagery. Scribes paraded cat-headed styluses, musicians drummed on cat-shaped skins, and dancers wore woven costumes patterned with feline spots. At sunset, a colossal cat-shaped loaf of unleavened bread was broken and distributed, each fragment reinforcing the belief that the cat's silent watch would protect the community's stores against vermin and rot. These communal feasts bound every social class, from bondservants to high priests, in a shared feline veneration. Builders expanding the temple grounds practiced a curious rite. They embedded broken cat figurine fragments into new foundations, a symbolic death intended to release the object's protective power into the earth. Archaeological layers show these shards placed precisely at the 4 cardinal points, aligning the temple's structure with both terrestrial and celestial forces. This architectural magic underscores a sophisticated synthesis of feline symbolism, astronomy, and construction, a belief that the cat's spirit would anchor walls and pillars against both material decay and spiritual tumult. Trade routes carried the cult of the temple cat beyond Mesopotamia. Cylinder seals from Dilmun and Magan depict domestic-style cats, alongside Babylonian grain jars and temple emblems, indicating that merchants adopted aspects of feline worship in foreign ports. In Egypt, bronze cat amulets bearing Babylonian inscriptions have been found in temple storerooms, suggesting a two-way flow of iconography. Yet in Babylon itself, the temple cat's worship retained its unique blend of writing, agriculture, and healing, forming a localized theology that elevated the feline to a guardian of every facet of civic life. Even under Persian rule, temple cats continued their silent vigil. Herodotus notes that when Cyrus the Great entered Babylon, he paid homage first to the sacred cats before proceeding to the royal palace, an act of deference to their ancient guardianship. Hellenistic influences later appeared in feline mosaics and coins, yet the essence of the cat's sacred function remained unchanged. It safeguarded temples, guided healing, and upheld the fertility of the land. In the crumbling ruins of Esagila, visitors today still report the echo of soft paws on stone, a testament that the spirit of the temple cat endures long after empire has fallen. Through millennia of conquest and change, the legacy of the Babylonian temple cat persists in artifacts, inscriptions, and whispered stories, a creature whose silent footsteps bridged earth and heaven. Bronze statuettes, painted reliefs, and legal edicts all attest to a time when an ordinary animal became a cornerstone of sacred life, carrying prayers in every purr and warding off chaos with every graceful step. In the hush of deserted courtyards, among toppled pillars and fractured votives, one can still sense the watchful presence of a guardian born of Ife and faith, a reminder that sometimes the softest footprints leave the deepest marks on history. Part 24. Thai Cat Angels. In the candle-lit courtyards of centuries-old Watts, just as the last saffron-robed monks file out after evening chanting, feline silhouettes sometimes appear perched atop lotus-carved balustrades, cats with softly glowing halos and diaphanous wings that shimmer like dragonfly gossamer in the torchlight. These cat angels, or Mayo Sanghathan, are said to patrol the liminal spaces between the human and spirit realms, their presence bringing quiet blessings to both worshipper and mouse. Village elders recount times of drought and plague, when these cat angels made themselves known. Overturned bowls of rice left mysteriously full at dawn, sudden rain clouds gathering over scorched fields, and oil lamps that burned bright through the night without replenishment. Each of these miracles, credited to silent paws and compassionate hearts, reminded the faithful that mercy and abundance can arrive on the softest of feet. Though Buddhist scripture offers little direct mention of cats, Thai folklore intertwines these feline spirits with the Nandipa, guardian angels who protect monastic precincts. In northern temples, detailed murals depict winged cats nestled among Bodhi leaves, their eyes inlaid with gold leaf, as if too sacred for mere pigment. Monks have whispered of hearing soft purring emanating from the ancient Ubasot during late-night recitations, a sound believed to be the cat angels chanting silent mantras of protection. This purr, like the hum of the universe itself, brings harmony to the temple's energy, sealing out malicious jinn and ensuring no malevolent force slips through sacred doors. The world-famous Siamese cat, with its vivid sapphire eyes and creamy seal-point coat, is often considered the earthly manifestation of a cat angel's grace. Royal chronicles from Ayutthaya tell of litters gifted to kings as tokens from the heavens, each kitten bearing a tiny gold fleck on its forehead as proof of its angelic origin. These cats were entrusted with guarding palace granaries. If vermin strike while a Siamese cat slumbers in the rafters, it's seen as a failure of human duty rather than the cat's. When Ayutthaya fell to Burmese invaders, records describe a lone white-gloved Siamese at the temple gates, its mournful mew echoing across the sacked courtyards like a final benediction for a fallen kingdom. In Bangkok's vibrant markets, amulet vendors now craft miniature winged cat charms from jade and ivory, each inscribed with protective sutras. Travelers wear these talismans on silken cords around their necks, or suspend them from rearview mirrors, confident the cat angels will guard them against both vehicular mishaps and unseen curses. The most prized charms depict the cat angel cradling a tiny stupa, symbolizing its guardianship of the Buddha's relics, or resting upon the eight-spoked Dharma chakra, signifying its role in upholding the cosmic law. Talismans said to glow or warm in the presence of danger are traded at premium prices, their owners believing that the faintest pulse against the skin is the cat angel's heartbeat in resonance with their own. Thai astrology, influenced by Chinese zodiac law, often replaces the rabbit with the cat to honor local traditions. Those born in the year of the cat are believed to inherit the cat angel's qualities: keen intuition, stealthy grace, and protective instincts. Astrologers counsel cat-year individuals to heed subtle signs: the flicker of a cat's silhouette in a dream, an unexpected meow at dusk, or the sudden appearance of cat murals on temple walls. During cat-year months, devotees leave small offerings of cow tom, sweet sticky rice, shaped into paw prints at Wat Pho, seeking alignment with their celestial guardians and ensuring that the coming year unfolds with the cat angel's silent watch. In Isan's rice farming villages, the Loy Krathong festival features miniature floats crafted in feline form, Pao Mio Kiao, complete with woven leaf wings and candle flames gleaming like stars. As these cat krathongs drift down muddy canals beneath the full moon, villagers believe the cat angels gather to feast upon floral offerings and carry away misfortune with them. The gentle lapping of water against bamboo walls seems to echo the angels' purrs, and the community greets the next morning's harvest with renewed faith that the cat angels have blessed both seed and sprout. Khmer influences from the West bring additional layers to cat angel lore in Western provinces. Temples bearing Angkorian motifs often integrate feline deities with Noga serpents, creating hybrid protectors of land and water. One dramatic dance drama tells of a cat angel who saved a Khmer princess from a river demon by sprouting wings to carry her across roaring rapids. Dancers in the performance don elaborate cat mask headdresses and ankle bells, their movements mimicking both the creature's feline slip and the beat of powerful wings, evoking the spirit's agility and grace. In urban Chinatown shrines of Bangkok, porcelain cat angels stand alongside ceramic Buddhas and guardian deities. During the vegetarian festival, these shrines are paraded through the streets. Amid the clatter of drums and cymbals, devotees, some in trance, carry the cat angels high above their heads, showering them with flower petals. Firewalkers, those trance-induced adherents who tread upon hot coals, often wear cat ear headgear, believing that the angel's protection will carry their spirits safely across fiery thresholds. Reported miracles include sudden healings of respiratory ailments and the miraculous clearing of custard-colored smoke from collapsing altars, phenomena attributed to the cat angel's unseen vigilance. Across Thailand's diverse landscapes, from the neon arteries of its cities to the whispering paddies of its countryside, the belief in cat angels endures as a testament to grace, arriving on silent feet. Whether tracked through temple shadow or held close as a charm, these feline spirits remind the faithful that true guardianship often moves unnoticed, yet leaves an indelible imprint on the heart. In every lantern's glow and every soft mew in the night, the cat angels whisper compassion and protection can come in the humblest forms, if only one listens to the hush between heartbeats.